Just want to say before the show starts, The Troy Show is a listener discretion advised show. We're fair, we're balanced here, everyone gets a voice. We can't quite control exactly what that voice is going to be, so please keep that in mind as you listen to the show. Any business or organization mentioned on the show is not a sponsor of The Troy Show, nor is it affiliated unless otherwise stated. The Troy Show is not an official representation of the city of Troy, Ohio, USA, or the government thereof. This is Troy on Air. Well, we have a lot to talk about this week. I mean, just a bunch coming out. Buildings collapsing partially, parking issues in the downtown area, tests and whatnot. Of course, we are your weekly recap of your local news here in Troy, Ohio, and the surrounding area. You found it here on The Troy Show. BeautifulTroyShow@gmail.com. If you ever need to get a hold of us, call-in lines open tonight, 937-696-7572. Hopefully we don't have any major technical errors this week, but we're going to work through them either way. It's kind of interesting. We went down and we shot some footage of Troy's solution to the downtown parking, and we will take you live now outside to the newly implemented reverse angle parking at Short Street and Main Street. And we'll go ahead and go out to our field reporter on this, and we'll go ahead and walk out there, shall we? Traffic's a little bit heavy today. I just pull my car up. All right, so to back into this thing, all I got to do is pull up past the spot here. Just give me a minute. I'm getting there. Just hang on.
Why are
Nathan,
you stopping in the middle of the road?
Lean your head out the window. Tell them. Well, now they're too close to my bumper and I can't get it. Just back up. Just back up.
There's too many cars back there. They can't back up.
You're gonna have to get out in direct traffic on this one. Can we nudge them? Can we just? Is that all right? Don't worry about it. We'll get there. All right, we'll just go around the block. I'm going to go around the block. I'm going to go around. We'll try it again. We'll just try it again. Put your seatbelt on. All right? I don't want you to actually get out of the car. All right. They're just... okay, I'm going to go around the block. I'm going to do it. All right? I'm going around the block. Jeez. I don't know. Well, glad I rolled the window up. Roll them up. Well, reverse angle parking is here in the downtown, and it seems to be that our mayor wants to make this her legacy. This is her treasure island. She is going to come along and fix the reverse angle parking here in downtown Troy. And it's going to keep dinging if you don't put your seatbelt on already. Can you just...
Technically, the person in the backseat doesn't have to have it on.
What are you doing in the backseat? How did you get back there? Anyway... That is our video switcher, Nathan, over there. He just had to put... I had to put the child lock on the windows last week. Anyway, so she wants to kind of make this her... She wants to solve the parking. Well, I feel like everyone's been asking for a parking garage. Where do you put it? I don't know. The churches are buying up all the property here in downtown, so it's kind of hard to put any more parking anywhere, but they have a lot of green space now. So they come to a conclusion that they're going to do a pilot program. And now the mayor has been telling us forever... Go down and pull up this image for me. It is the... Not the parking pole, not that one. Only a test, yeah. Pull that one up. And the mayor, here in a second, but the mayor has been telling us that she went down to Dayton, and Dayton has reverse angle parking, and she thought it just works splendidly. So we're going to do a pilot program, right? Well, this is the City of Troy, Ohio government's response on their Facebook page after everyone kind of was a little bit peeved about the idea of reverse angle parking here in the downtown. Go ahead and cut to that. It says this is a practice test or a practice across the country and is encouraged as a safety measure by ODOT and others. This is only an experiment and does not mean the city is definitely changing permanently. We ask that you try it and then judge it. We want your input. Do you now? So now it's no longer I went to Dayton and Dayton was doing it. It's just a nationwide thing where the state is making us do this. They want us to test it out. And you pick one of the worst streets possible. Now, someone did on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show, because we put out a weekly poll, which we'll get to the results here in a minute. But they commented and kind of pointed out something to me that I didn't think about, that street, Short Street there by the courthouse, is one of the best streets to implement this test on. because it's always full. And I do notice that when I drive by. The parking spaces are always full over there. And if you drop your Happy Meal toy one more time over there, I'm going to have to clean it out of the carpets. I just bought this thing. Anyway, but they said that would be a perfect place to put a test for this. And I thought, well, that's a perspective that I had, because that's what we're all about here. All right, we're all about fielding out perspectives and questions. We don't take anything too much to heart here. We want different perspective. That's the point of the show, is to give all the citizens of Troy a voice, best that we can here. So I thought about that, and I drove by today, about peak hours. I don't know if the court was closed, if there was just not as many people over there today for some reason, but the only spot that was taken up was by the Public Works truck, which was in the footage we shot over the weekend, still parked over there. Hopefully he moved, because there's a parking limit, time limit. Hopefully he was moving spots and obeying the law, I would hope, as a city truck, or if it was broke down, I don't know. But anyway, all of the parallel parking on that street was taken up. So everyone opted to rather parallel park than to deal with the reverse angle parking, which I kind of thought was funny, because that's one of the biggest gripes, is parallel parking. But people have just gotten used to doing it down here. I remember when I first started driving when I was 16, and I was working in the downtown area, and I had to parallel park down here. An Impala, it's not a huge car, but it's not a compact either, four-door sedan style. And so I'd have to parallel park, and I kind of got good at it down here. It just became something that you had to do in the downtown. But then I also thought, with all that parallel parking right there at the reverse angle parking, I can just see someone focusing so much on the right side of their car, which you should be focusing on both sides. Let's not get this mistaken. Either form of parking can work if you can get all the driving people on the same page. But that's not going to happen, and we know it. So right now, we have this system where you pull into a spot, and that is the most fluid way of getting people out of the way and not rear-ending unless people aren't paying attention. You can't really solve that problem. That is a much deeper problem. That goes down to actually education and teaching people how to drive, and then somehow reinforcing that. But even with all the tickets and all the fines that we give out, it still doesn't seem to fix the problem for some reason. It's just people can't take it seriously enough. So over here at this short street for the reverse angle parking, the problem I'm thinking is these people should be focusing on both sides, but they're not, and they're going to swing their car out into someone who's parallel parked, or back into one of the signs there, because the back end usually hangs out further than the front of the vehicle over the axle. So these were things that we were observing while we were out there, and we observed these things. I've got these thought processes on it. I've driven commercial truck. I've just been driving since I'm 16. I mean, Nathan, how long have you been driving?
Also since I was 16, so
yeah. So I mean,
6 years.
We've been driving
7
for a
years.
while. We've got some say in this. We've lived here. I've never hit a car down here sticking out. They annoy me sometimes, but you just pay attention and you navigate best that you can. And I get they're trying to fix the problem, but the problem will be fixed with more parking or a redesign out front that's not too crazy, because people have now gotten used to it. But they are going to be redesigning it. I think they're going to be taking out front here down to one lane. So that still has yet to come. I mean, that's part of the 41 redesign that's been needed for years now. It's a really bumpy mess going across that road. And the curbs are all torn up, and they're supposed to be redoing all of that, like the sidewalks, I think. And it's going to be really nice. I have no problem with that. It'll probably be over budget and over time, as per most government construction projects. But at least by 2023, I think we're supposed to be seeing better road. I'm happy. I've been wanting that for years, and thankfully that is something that's going to happen. I don't know if our mayor had anything to do with that, if this was something set up in the Beamish Rebellion. I don't know. Whatever it was, I'm glad that we're finally seeing the fruits of those talks. But the reverse angle parking, the biggest flaw with it, and the mayor said this last week, we talked about this on the show, that she said it's going to be time, or it's people are going to have to stop tailgating. Do you think that's going to fix the problem, Nathan? Do you think we're just going to stop? Everyone's going to stop tailgating now because Mayor Oda.
People won't stop tailgating until they hit someone. That's how a tailgater becomes not a tailgater anymore.
And even then, they still do it. There was I think there was a report, Steve Baker, so take this with a grain of salt, did report that there was a 10 pile 10-car pileup at the construction zone, northbound 75 over there by 25A, going up towards Piqua. And hopefully everyone's safe on that. And everyone came out. But I don't know. It could be, I haven't seen any more reports of it. These are things, we have a much deeper problem than just rearranging stuff. I will give our government credit on one thing. And I really do believe this, having driven as long as I have and as many situations as I have, that our government has a very good structure for road rules, especially when it comes to a court of law. When someone does break the law and ends up causing harm to someone else's vehicle or property or persons, it's usually pretty easy to sort out in the court of law with their traffic investigations because of how things are marked, and there's a very prominent right of way. But recently, I think we're starting, as the population grows and expands, we're starting to see an issue, bottlenecking, traffic problems in these small historic towns that pride themselves on history and being historic, and they were built for a different time. And so we've been able to kind of reconstruct them best we can in the last 20 years or so, but now I think we're at a new shift, a new pivotal point where we're going to have to do something crazy, and it's not going to be liked by the Historic Society. We're going to have to do something to fix this, and I don't think reverse angle parking is where it's at. But let's put my thoughts aside. Let's go over to our poll. This is part of a new thing we're doing, a weekly poll. Since the city does all their costly research and whatnot, instead of just asking you guys, or we do have a lack of enthusiasm of citizens showing up to events, which we need to have them show up to council meetings and stuff, especially when they get back in the buildings and voicing their opinion. We're going to be doing a weekly poll here on our page, and we're going to come up with some hot topic to ask you what you think, because we have a very diverse audience here at the Troy Show. So go ahead and pull up our poll. Should Troy's downtown do reverse angle parking? Ooh. 11% yes, 89% no, and that received 262 votes, and we ended that at about 5:15 today. So look for the next weekly poll. We'll have the results on the show each week. But that gives you an idea. I've seen maybe one person make a valid argument for the downtown parking being reverse angle. I'm just really frustrated because now the city is trying to, they really want this. They really want this. To the point where now they're trying to tell us, oh, it's just the nation. No, it's nothing to do with us. We don't, guys, we think this is ridiculous too. But ODOT, they need us. I don't know what the deal is. Just say no. This is not going to work for our downtown. Please, I don't want to try this out. Tactical parking, as it's known, can be effective in parking lots, backing in. I get their argument. It's easier to pull out into traffic than it is to back in. But then you have to go to the flip side of that, which is it's easier to pull into a spot in traffic than it is to back into one. I think the pulling into a spot works the best because people are naturally inclined in a forward momentum. It gets you right off the street. And the biggest problem is, what if someone doesn't leave you a spot? Then you have to go around the block. The space behind the vehicle to back in. Or what if someone gets impatient and now they're going to go around and you're swinging your vehicle out? It just seems like more than needs to be allowed. Now, I've figured out the biggest secret in downtown is either position your car when you park or look out your windows if you can't see because of the row of cars for a traffic light. And if it's red in the direction that you need to back out, then your chances, this is all chance-based, of backing out are going to be pretty good with no one coming. So you just just ever so slowly ease. Most people don't want to run into stuff. So just slowly ease out there. And it's worked for me every single time for the last, 7 years of my life. Never had a problem with it. Never had an issue with it. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm invincible. Anything could happen to anyone. It's kind of part of driving on the road. So that's the results of our weekly poll. That's what the citizens think. We didn't get in the way of anything. We don't sway per se. We do give our opinion here, but that we just put it out there, and that's what they said. Kind of interesting. We'll see how this unfolds. It looks like they are kind of backtracking now. But voice your opinion. If you don't want it in the downtown, voice your opinion. If you want it in the downtown, voice your opinion and give good arguments. Let's not get into infighting here and whatnot. Speaking of infighting, someone posted in one of these Troy, Ohio citizens groups the other day that Yeah, they were like, no one's commenting here anymore. Where's no one commenting? Well, when you change the entire name of the group and you got everyone in there based on one premise, and then you basically said, oh, nope, only I dictate how the drama works here. I dictate how this goes. Yeah, people are going to lose interest real quick. So that's kind of what happens when you change the group name. Now, if you need a place that's no one steps in your way, Troy, Ohio Citizens 2.0, facebook.com/groups/Troy, Ohio Citizens. We don't really do much over there, okay? We strictly take people out of the group if they are violating Facebook terms of service. We don't put our own spin on that. We look at it and we go, okay, this is violation of that. Illegal in nature, doxing, things like that. But I don't ban for foul language or anything like that. You're all adults and you can handle it. You're in this group. You chose to be here. If not, we'd love to have you, but you don't have to be in there either, okay? We keep it open. It's not our outlet. We have one right here. It's your outlet, the Citizens Outlet. So go check it out, Troy, Ohio Citizens 2.0. Oh, the return of the prodigal son, Nathan. John Tyler is in 2.0.
Yeah, I did notice that.
I personally, I think he's a troll. I don't think he lives here. I think he's a bot. We should probably ban him. He said stuff I disagree with.
Of course.
Welcome, John. Welcome to 2.0. It's got to feel weird not having the ban hammer. It'll take a minute to get adjusted to, but don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll actually enjoy being on the other side of not having to deal with drama. It's a stress-free life. You know, you don't have to take people out because you disagree with them. So don't worry about it. We've got it. We'll handle it for you. Don't worry about it. So John Tyler's back, ladies and gentlemen. He was getting into it the other day with someone. I was reading it. I'm banned on Facebook right now. I didn't even. It's just the algorithms. I don't know. And I'm about 5 days left after this 30-day ban. And I was just watching it, and I'm just like, my God. This is why people didn't like your group in the first place. He was trying to defend his, I called it a social media experiment. I mean, you're basically calling everyone a social media experiment. Your opinion didn't go the way I wanted it to. Just state that from the beginning. You know, like Jay from over at Watch Pickle. He's a prime example of someone who runs an open forum page, but he has stated countless times, he's made it known, there is a level that he's not claiming it to be the superest, most free speech platform on Facebook. He's saying this is Jay Roman's page of Watch Pickwa, right? You know, whereas John made some Troy, Ohio Citizens. Well, I'm a citizen of Troy, and I had a snarky opinion on something, and I was labeled a troll and a bot, and like I didn't even live here, and they just took me out without any, and they took you out for some reason too.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I said.
I don't either.
But, yeah.
I don't know why they took you out. See, I'm one of those middle of the road guys. I mean, pretty much everyone has some problem with me.
I think it was during the Bloomberg.
Yeah, it was. Well,
signs.
I started that ball because they were putting like the Bloomberg signs popped up overnight in our Republican community, and we can't have that. Like, I don't like Bloomberg either. He never had a shot in the first place. But I got to laugh. And oh my God, Bloomberg signs in the public right of way, and they were all freaking out. It's just political season. You know, there are a ton of signs I don't like during political season popping up. And bless you.
Thank you.
And grab, where's the sanitizer? We'll probably have Mike DeWine show up if we don't.
Don't worry, I just sneezed on a baby.
Okay.
No. It'll be all right.
Who brought that in? Get him out of here. We can't have Nathan sneezing all over the place. Anyway, so, where was I? Good Citizens group, right? And
yeah.
The Bloomberg signs were popping up all over town. I made a pretty long-winded joke post. You know, just poking a little bit of fun. Sometimes we get a little too righteous about ourselves here in Troy. It's no jab at anyone in particular. It's just a certain overarching atmosphere and attitude here in Troy. And I begged the question sarcastically, would this have happened if it were Republican signs that popped up overnight? Because again, I'm a middle-of-the-road guy. So I asked the question. There's nothing wrong with asking the question. I put some humor to it. It got like 50 likes, laugh reacts. Most of the people in the comments were kind of agreeing. There were a couple people disagreeing, and we were having a fun time. And then John Tyler got in there and said, oh, we can't have this. And then eventually he just like shut it down. I don't know. You can't do that. Now, we poke fun here at Mr. Tyler, but just for that reason, all right? You know, we don't fully hate the guy or disagree with him. I get a kick out of it. It's amusing to me that the people have been so convinced that everyone they disagree with online is a Russian bot or a troll or doesn't live here. And that's kind of an issue that I've had with Troy. I've lived here for 23 years, and I hardly know anyone. Now, there's the homeschooling aspect of that. There's a large percentage of that. But I do feel like sometimes it's just hard to talk to people in this city. I don't know why. I like this city. I think it's a beautiful city, and I like living here, and it's close to everything. It's got a slice of all the things that you could love and enjoy. I lived in Sydney for like 10 months, and I'll tell you what, I had 30 people that I knew in 10 months. I don't know if it's because of the nature of the job I was doing or what. This isn't a critical thought here. This is just spitballing. I'm trying to figure that out. But since we've started this show, Nathan, I have gotten to know a lot of great people, and I've started to actually get to feel connected to my city and get different perspective on it. And that has been a great aspect of the show in doing this, and Citizens 2.0 and whatnot. So we just wanted to welcome them back with open arms. I disagree with you. I didn't like the fact you banned me, but this is what actual open dialogue looks like. So have fun in 2.0. John, we welcome you back. Glad to see you're alive and well. And I don't know. It was one of our citizens over there, a lady, I think a regular follower of the show in that group, too. She was posing a genuine question to him. It seemed genuine enough. I don't know. I'm not saying I fully agree with her argument either. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm just saying if we're going to change things, an open dialogue will be needed. And if you're going to create a group, I have no problem if you want it to be the John Tyler extravaganza, autonomous Facebook zone for the upper echelon citizens of Troy, or the bureaucratic thought process, or whatever it is that you prescribe to, or you seem to have been so offended that you didn't get whatever it is that you wanted, either out of the citizens or the people of Troy. I don't know. But if you want to do that, by all means, it's a free country. It's a free world. Facebook is free. Go on there and start your group and have fun. Kick everyone out. Go wild. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, Nathan. It's just a stupid little thought. If this goes on too long, there will be a generation right now growing up that doesn't know what a 24-hour Walmart is like.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying. Now, a lot of them don't even know what the old Walmarts were like, where you could barely get down the lane.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling a girlfriend about that the other day. She's like, really? I don't remember. I said, no, it's like you had it when we got that extra 3 feet at Walmart, man. It was great. It was great. The original social distancing. Well, the big news for the night. All right. So Troy has finally announced the Justice League. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, but they have announced a Justice League. And they're calling it the Human Relations Commission. Okay, Human Relations Commission. That is the official title. Well, this is coming from MVT, so that could be a typo. It's Commission, Committee, Council. It's one of the two. But they have approved members for the Human Relations Commission. And this went exactly like I called it. This is exactly what I think it is. It's a fluff buzzword commission to appease those while keeping good faith with the certain voting bloc that these particular folks have an issue with. So on Monday, and this was while we were doing the show, or about 2 hours before the show, they announced this, and we kind of talked about it last week on the show, but now we have more clarity, more perspective. On Monday, proposed appointees of Troy's recently revived Human Relations Commission were approved by the Troy Council as a whole during a video conference, a.k.a. Zoom, meeting at City Hall. Mayor Robin Oda announced... My goodness, we're off to the races. Mayor Robin Oda received 129 applications for the city's long-standing but currently inactive Human Relations Commission. I told you, there could be typos, so bear with us here. Oda said she was happy with the diverse group that either applied or were requested to serve on the board. She said the city will keep the other applications on file for future endeavors. Now, we have some sound bites coming up of that meeting. I also have here in my hand everyone on the council, their terms, everything like that. There's an image for that if you want to go hunt that down. But I've got the paper copy. I printed it out. And so here we go. Let's go to soundbite number 1 here. And this was, I forget what his name is, but he was kind of doing the announcement of what they're going to be talking about for the night. And this should be on clip 1 here. And this sets the tone for how the meeting went, essentially.
And those 12, I will read off with their term length at this point. It would be Kane Feltner for 1 term, Stephanie Johnson for 1 term, John Keller for 1 term, Carolyn Nicely for 1 term, Jordan Atkins, 2 terms.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Which one are you reading?
That didn't take long.
I don't know. One you sent me.
That's term, which would be 1 year.
Right, but
Term.
Yeah, but
Years.
you
you're all over
changed
it.
some of these
It should be
terms.
alphabetical.
This is how
No,
the
it should
meeting
be
starts off.
alphabetical, Mr. Twist. What
These are the
Wow.
does your
people
memo
picking.
look like? Did we lose him?
No.
Hold on. I'm just going
These are the
to
people picking the
see if you sent
Human
me an
Relations
updated one.
Commission.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't send him one of the first. Oh, you're looking at the draft
He's
one
looking
that
at
we.
the-
How do
sent,
I
like,
PDF?
last week.
Right.
Yeah. So did you
No.
send me a new one? No.
Yes,
Do I open it up on the browser?
yes. The first name should be Jordan Atkins,
And it's 1
and the
year.
term
Did you
is
send me that on
1
the email?
year.
Oh, hold on. When did you send it?
What are
Today.
the dates?
Yeah,
Did
Yeah,
it-
we sent it today.
Wait, what are we even talking about?
What time?
What commission? What committee?
30-ish.
I don't even know. This is the problem when they give these people
Is that
Zoom.
the one with all the? Hold on.
Wow, this is a pretty touchy,
Hold on.
sensitive issue. You need a little more prepared on this.
Just send it to me.
Robin just sent it to you again, Bill.
Hold on, I got it. Hold on. Okay,
This sounds like the
restart.
reverse angle
Here we
perk.
go.
Here we go.
All right.
Here we go.
So
All right.
here we go. Yeah, there we go. Here, let me give you the actual list here. And they corrected it and he restarted it and he read the list properly. But Jordan Atkins, age 20 to 30 years old, will serve 1 term, African American, 8th grade football coach, Troy City Schools. Sherry Brown, 40 to 50 years old, 1 term. That's kind of odd. So it's got the ethnicity column on here. I want to be very careful reading this because I don't want to be insensitive. But pull that. We have an image of it up. Let's put this on screen.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. I'll tell you what it's named because I'm a little bit confused as to why they labeled them like this. So
here it is.
yeah, HRC.
Got it.
I'll go ahead and read it as it is here. It says African American on the first one. Sherry Brown, 40 to 50, black. And then the next one is African American, and then the next one is black. What does that mean? I don't. That seems a little.
Is it just what they wrote?
Maybe they just pulled it off their application. I mean, you can say.
be.
I just think it's weird. I don't know.
It might be the individual's preference on.
And
on
if
the
that's their
wording,
preference, by all
so-
means, I'm not going to stand in the way of that. So I just thought that was a little bit odd. But anyway, Sherry Brown, veteran military, project manager, Wright Pat Air Force Base. Kane Feltner, 20 to 30 years old, 1 term, biracial. Bob Evans, college student. You're probably right, Nathan. They probably just went off of whatever their preferred was, so that's fine. David Fong, 40 to 50 years old, 1 term, Asian, director of communications, Troy City Schools. Sonia Hollycross, 40 to 50 years old, 2 terms, biracial, education and development coordinator, Partners in Hope. Oh, Trey Hudson got on here.
Yep, sure did.
20 to 30 years old. We got to speak with Trey during that protest. We walked around
A
with
couple
Trey.
of times, yeah.
We would check in with him every once in a while. He was usually up at the front of the line of that protest, going around the circle down there, or the square, I should say. He put down black, evergreen turf and landscaping. Stephanie Johnson, 50 to 60 years old, 2 terms, white, principal, Troy City Schools. John Keller, 50 to 60 years old, 2 terms, white, pastor, Troy Church of the Brethren. Caroline Nicely, 30 to 40 years old, 3 terms, white, probation officer, Miami County Courts. Marvin Majors Sr., 40 to 50 years old, 3 terms, African American, owner, IT, telecommunications business. Loretta Phillips, 60 to 70 years old, 3 terms, black, retired, preschool teacher. Todd Severt, I know there's a way to say this. Severt, yeah. 50 to 60 years old, 3 terms, white, councilman, attorney. So it seems to be a pretty diverse board.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Diverse in age and ethnicity, I'd say.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with that. With 129 applications, they definitely did a good job with that. You can pull it off the screen, but
Sure.
The problem that I found some people had with this was the fact that there were too many people of prominent position on here up in the city. So, but I think they did that based on they wanted to have the people that affected, the kids' lives on here as well, like the Troy City Schools. The only thing is I didn't go to the city schools, so I can't speak intelligently on the matter here. So I don't know if these people are going to be accepted on this here. I don't know if people already had a pre-existing issue with them, maybe that they were in on the very things that they say are wrong in the city.
Well, I suppose perhaps the people higher up in the city, like the councilmen and the principal and etc., they could be kind of a liaison between the people who are trying to get things changed and the people who can actually make things change.
Yeah, I agree with that because down here we have, I saw it on here, the corrections officer, so probation officer and Miami County Courts. That's probably a very good person to have on here because this gives it a chance for the other folks on here to reach out to them on this commission and tell them, hey, this is what we're feeling. This is what's affecting us. And that gives them a one-on-one conversation. So a lot of the other questions that people had were, how is this council? Is it going to be legislative? They can't do anything like that. So they can't make decisions, and I don't think they can use tax dollars, monies, which kind of makes it a fluff commission. Now, hopefully, their voices are heard, though. Like I've been saying for shows, I wish this commission the best. I hope it does exactly what they're intending to do. But I don't know if you've watched the Zoom meeting where you can see exactly who was picking these. And I think it was the mayor and a couple of close people to her. It wasn't necessarily the council, I don't believe, because they seemed just as confused and irritated throughout the meeting. But I don't know if you've seen them. I don't know if that's particularly the group of people they want picking the commission. I'm still under the impression that it's just easier to walk out of your city hall, your second floor office, and go down and talk to them while they're out on the picnic tables. I believe it was Bailey that was out on the picnic tables having a debate with the sheriff's department. And TPD really didn't want any part of that. I don't know why. Maybe because they just arrested two guys. The first one, he got involved in some kind of squabble. I think it was because the officer wanted him back on the roads. We were on the other side of the circle while we were covering it. I don't buy that story. I saw some video footage while I was there on someone else's phone that had recorded the encounter, and I don't really buy that, TPD. The second guy, I heard some reports of hands on an officer first. That one's going to be dicey. But the first one, I think they just wanted to try and make an example and pick someone out of the group for putting them on the streets. At that point, like I've said for many shows, they should have just escorted them like they ended up doing later on in the night. So I still am under the impression it's just easier to actually go out and talk with your constituents than to go through all these hoops and ladders and whatnot. But nonetheless, the overall picks, and I'm glad to see Trey was on there. I'm glad because that shows me that they are putting the people on this board or the commission that actually have passion and dedication to this cause. They weren't just picking a couple of their hand-picked bureaucrats and saying, oh, we're paying attention. So that's a good sign. Let's move on. Clip 2.
Madam Mayor, did you do any in-person interviews with these folks or any of the folks, or did you just rely on the responses that you got in writing or email or some other form? I'm sorry, ma'am.
We did do in person with everybody except two. We did a phone interview with Cherie Brown and a Zoom interview with Marvin Majors. Oh, also a phone interview with David Fong.
Miss Mayor, with those, your answer to Bobby, was that for this just the 12 you selected or all of them?
Just the 12.
I apologize. It's Cherie Brown, not Sherry. I misread an A for an E on that. But they were asking, did the entire 129 get an interview and then they picked these, or did they only interview the ones that ended up on the commission? And from what she said, they only interviewed the 12 that they put on the commission, and they had to go off the applications for the rest of them, from what I could gather from that meeting. And they just kind of went by what they wrote down, and then if they saw, because she said that they kind of got overwhelmed with the amount of application. There were so many great people on there, and her kind of words, that she just had to end up picking at some point. Moving on.
We read through all of the comments that everybody made, and honestly, there were a lot of people that could have been on here, and we just had to start picking and choosing. We didn't want all people that there are several people on here that I do not know. So we want just a list of people that are well known in the community. We wanted people that live here, raise their kids here, go to school here. But pretty much we went on what they wrote on their form.
That's about 50% of well-known people on here. So that's not terrible. But again, that was kind of one of the one gripe that I did see people kind of piping up about in the comment sections across various social media outlets for the city. But on to the next one here.
Thank you. That relates to my question also.
This is,
I was wondering
Sneed,
that because
or-
of these staggered terms,
Yeah.
when it comes time to name the replacements for the one-year terms, are we going to open the process again for new applications, review the ones we have on file, a combination?
The process is open year round for every board, everything. And it's not a guarantee just having an application that you'll be placed on a board.
I understand that, but I think on this
Oh.
board, there was some specific interest because of the issues to be addressed. So I'm wondering if we are going to put out again at this time next year, or the time for reappointments, the ability for someone to apply with an interest for this board.
Hadn't even thought about that, but
I
certainly would
don't-
consider it.
I don't know. They told me to be here at like 5 p.m.
That was all.
And these are all renewable too. So, at the end of their term, they may choose not to ask to be renewed. But
Okay.
they are renewable too.
All right. So they're saying that these people can ask for renewal on this commission. And the reason they did it staggered, so it's 4 one-year terms, 4 two-year terms, and 4 three-year terms, is so obviously the entire commission doesn't just expire at once and then they don't have a commission. Now, I would like to know why, if it was just randomized, like they picked 12 people and then they just put these numbers into a computer, randomized the terms, why some, how were they selected? Now, the council couldn't be that bothered to really get that deep on it, but you could tell that there was some kind of irritation throughout the meeting is what I picked up on, some kind of unpreparedness. Harkens way back to the property encroachment of the shed over at the park. That was a heated topic, and the mayor was very upset they didn't have information on that. But nonetheless, I did pick up on that kind of a sense throughout this special meeting. It was about 17 minutes. The last 5 minutes or so of it was something else unrelated for the special meeting. But that's kind of what I picked up on, is that the council seemed irritated. Clip 5. This will kind of prove my point.
Just one final question. Are their meetings open to the public?
They will be public meetings, but the group will decide when they meet, what time they meet.
Not that one. Actually, I had another one that I didn't put on here. But there you can hear that that was kind of a theme throughout the meeting whenever asked a question to that regard of the powers of that commission, other than it's not legislative and it can't receive money. But she did say it will get the full backing and they can get whatever they need. So I don't know what that exactly means. But she said those two things were the stipulations. Everything else, like their mission statement, what you heard just there, pretty much they have free reign, which makes sense to me. I wouldn't, these people are here to, and they called them out at Richards Chapel, by the way. They're here to educate you, basically, on some of the stuff maybe you've overlooked. Maybe you've just been downtown a little bit too long. So that's the point of the board. Now, the problem, it was kind of towards the end. One of the council members asked this question, and I thought it to be kind of a backhanded question. He said, Madam Mayor, did any high school students volunteer for this position, which she said, as she's so famous for, no. So I just thought that question was odd. Are you trying to delegitimize the folks that walked around the square? Because, I knew it. Yeah, these high schoolers are just joking with us. Just a bunch of high schoolers. They don't. Well, maybe because they don't feel, or maybe because you've never presented a logical reason for any of them to run. Maybe because you've isolated yourselves, and anyone with a younger idea, if it's not quite on par with what you want, but it just wouldn't work for the city. You just don't understand how it works. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe it's, you can't just, yes, I thought that was a backhanded question. I didn't quite like that one too much. What does that sound like to you, Nathan? You got a speech coming up?
No, I don't know how I feel about it. It just seems like a weird question to ask.
Yeah, out of all the other like more in-depth questions you could ask about this commission. But anyway, they just okayed it. I don't think any of them really looked into the commission or anything. It was just kind of like the mayor wants to do this. We need to do this. I don't know if they moved quickly on it because they just wanted them to shut up or if they actually care about this. I don't know. We will find out in time as the weeks unfold. But that's what went down for the meeting. Now, there's more to that meeting. We are only merely playing a couple sound bites of interest here. We always encourage you to go over to the Troy, Ohio government page on Facebook. Watch the whole thing for yourself. Again, like I said, about 17 minutes. And you can get a better sense of the meeting. And maybe beautifultroyshow@gmail.com or facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show. Leave us your thoughts. They don't fall on deaf ears here. So that's what's going on with the council. Now we move on to demonstrators marching in Tipp City. This was probably a smaller group than we saw here in Troy, but nonetheless, they were out there in Tipp City, according to this article by Miami Valley Today.com. A group of approximately 10 to 15 demonstrators gathered in Tipp City Wednesday, June 24th, protesting peacefully at the Tipp City Government Center building and marching along Main Street. I'm surprised they even wrote an article on this. No one was arrested. The demonstration started at the Tipp City Government Center at 3 p.m. and had ended peacefully by 5 p.m. Marchers with signs also made several trips around the block, following a route that included parts of Main Street, Garber Drive, and Tippecanoe Drive. No police were involved during the demonstration. I don't know if that means they didn't physically get involved or if they just didn't have any police presence. I would say it just meant there was no police presence, 10 to 15 people walking on the sidewalk. I guess it's not a big deal to them, which could say something about the police department. I don't know. It's got to be hard, though, for the cities to keep up with all these, right? I would think that maybe it's a little bit tough to, constantly getting resources out to protest. But in this time, I think it would serve them well to show as much support as they possibly can. The event was organized via Facebook by local residents Amelia Roth and Molly Spitzer. Racism occurs everywhere. It is not talked about enough, and it needs to be on people's radar. Within our community, it's very easy for a small town with a very white population to be ignorant of what's going on and to not really realize how they have an effect, Spitzer said. So we wanted to organize something where we are in their face and kind of showing them in a very peaceful manner that this is an issue and that they should be paying attention to it. So that's what happened in Tipp City on Wednesday. We've got more news on what happened in Tipp City yesterday coming up later in the show. Now we move on to the kind of a heated topic article that came out from the Palace of Columbus, which is, by the way, I would say Columbus is my second favorite city next to Cincinnati. Of the major cities in Ohio, if I had to pick, Cincinnati takes the top for me, and then Columbus. But this one is called Weekend Wanderlust, Visiting Your Hometown in a Time of Protest by ColumbusAlive.com. Kevin writes this article. It says, the writer reckons with Troy, Ohio. He starts it off by saying, this is where I'm supposed to write a travel column, somewhere in my notes. I intended to write a lengthy essay about returning to my hometown and basking in the narrative warmth of walking the streets where I grew up. That is, I think that's funny. I see where you're coming from on that one. A lot of people do that. But Columbus was a transient city when I moved here for college in the autumn of 1995. And though I've now called Columbus home for more than a quarter century, digging through its history and building my own, there's a huge part of me that still connects to where I was born and raised in Troy, Ohio. And he goes on to talk about how Hobart Manufacturing, Waco Airplanes, Waco, however you want to say it, agriculture and a river really brought this town up. And then, of course, the courthouse and the levee, Kay's Hamburgers. He says here he loves stopping at Kay's Hamburgers for a double with everything. It's been there since 1940, and it's one of the best burgers in Ohio. Do you see they got rid of their AC unit that's been there for 69 years?
Yeah, I did see that post. That's
69 years.
wow.
AC unit. They just got rid of it, Kay's Hamburgers. I don't know if they're sending that off to an institution somewhere, like a museum. I think it'd be worthy of that.
Just put it up here.
I think it was a Chrysler AC.
Right back there with Bob Ross.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, we'll take it up here in the studio. We'll put a nice feature piece if anyone at Kay's is listening.
It'll be better than your window unit.
I don't know if the floor could support that beast, but I guess they got some new AC over there. Anyway, side point. It says here, should you not want to return to your small hometown, that's understood. A lot of these towns are filled with Trump signs and Confederate flags. I guess MVT's habits carry over to Columbus. A lot of these towns. Okay, well, we'll let him off. He wrote a good article here. A lot of words here. We'll let him off on this one. With Trump signs and Confederate flags, Troy, Columbus, and Newark are not the same, but when it comes to the issue of social justice and entrenched white supremacy, they could be. This is where a lot of people suddenly now go on the defense when you're writing an article like this, and this is constructive criticism. And maybe this is your point. Maybe, I don't know, I think you might be an opinion columnist here. Like you said, you're supposed to be writing more of just a nice airy piece here, and you decided to take your platform and use it for something more serious. That's respectable. I understand that. I don't remember the last time I've seen a Trump flag or a Confederate flag in this town, other than your typical 4x4s blasting through the city. I don't know. Other than election season, when people usually put that stuff out. Or I'll pass a Trump sign from flag on someone's property every once in a while. It says filled with Trump signs and Confederate flags. There's that thing in Sydney, the Sunoco corner. I don't know if they've been doing it this year because of COVID, but where they sell, they've got everything there. Confederate flags, gay pride flags, Trump flags, and wolf mural flags. It's quite a combination. And they're just out there to make money. They'll sell you any flag. So some of the people started to go on the defense now that they're reading. It's just my hometown. None of this exists here. I've lived here for such and such time. I've never heard of this. And kind of what got people in more of a tizzy about things is further down in the article, he refers to the white Wendy's and the black Wendy's. I saw it down here. I just have to find it. But I will be the first to tell you that, yes, that exists. Those phrases do exist. Someone said that they had lived here for 63 years and they had never heard it, so therefore it must not exist. If it's not in our archives, it simply does not exist. No, I've heard that one at least for the last 5 years. I've lived here 23 years, minus the 10 months in Sydney. But
I heard it when I first came here for work about 6 years ago.
Yeah, and at first you're like, what? You walk over there and you're like, wait a minute. Let's see. I don't really use that Wendy's nuts. I usually go to the one on Main Street here. Except the other night I was there and like they said, we'll be right with you. And then we sat there for like 2 or 3 minutes to no response, no cars in the parking lot, nothing. And I said, let's go over to the other Wendy's. So we went over there and then we got service over there. I don't know what was going on. I don't try to hassle people doing their jobs. You know, if they're busy or whatever. There's another Wendy's, I'll just go there. Wendy's gets my money at the end of the day. It says a huge issue of race that lies right under our noses in Troy is the segregation of our neighborhoods. A lot of people of color live just within the downtown area, and that's something no one discusses. So the Wendy's that's there is called the Black Wendy's, and the one near the interstate is a more affluent area, is the White Wendy's. I wouldn't call that side of town the more affluent. I mean, when you get over to the country club, yes, I get what you're saying. The hotel's to the right there. That little, I don't know what's going on there. Wouldn't call that the affluent. A lot of interesting folks meandering around over there. So I don't know, but I heard that about 5 years ago from someone that works there. Name I shall not disclose. They were telling me, I said, that's ridiculous. I said, no, yeah, people actually call it that. And so I went over there and I walked in and I said, oh, wait a minute. There might be something to this. So it does exist. I wanted to clear that up to the people that were going after this writer of the article. I'm trying to be fair here, okay? Because I'm going to have some disagreements with this article. So I want to be fair at least and defend him where I can defend him at, because, you know, that it's not fair for people to completely discredit some of his points based on the fact that they never heard it. It does happen. And Hollywood does exist. And if you go behind the family video, that's also a little bit of a rough area. Now, a deeper reason, I want to know why. I really do. I want to know why. And maybe this commission can flesh it up a little bit better for me. And I want them to talk about it. I want the people at the top of the city to talk about it as well. Why is that the case? Why is that where the population lives? Because I want to know specifically, why is that the case? And then I think we can actually start a productive conversation and figure that out, because that is odd. You don't turn in that neighborhood. You don't do it. The Troy people don't. I turn around there all the time. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But most people will tell you, don't go behind Hollywood. I've had friends that they informed me later on, or a couple of years ago, I should say, about Hollywood, and I never knew it was a thing either, because I had lived here at this point, it was 5 years ago, so I was about 18. I was homeschooled, so I never really got to hear this stuff. And then I started to talk to some friends and people that lived in Piqua, and they'd say that they'd come down to Troy and to Hollywood and various reasons, and you start to open your eyes. Now, keep in mind, I haven't heard this for 18 years. Did it not exist during that 18 years? Of course not. It totally existed. So it's not a great argument if you do disagree with this article. Now, I don't lose myself in some of the stuff like the riddled with Trump flags and Confederate flags. Okay, I have plenty of disagreements with the right just as much as I do the left, and that is one of them. It's just high horse. It's not productive. It doesn't help the point. It doesn't further the point any.
You're using the live Chrome tab, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'm just kind of...
Oh, okay. I was just making sure you knew.
I'm just moving around. You can go ahead and throw that down. I encourage you. Now, go read this article for yourself. You took time to write it.
There's also the part about the flyers, apparently.
So we did reach out to Kevin. I think it was you, Nathan.
Yep.
Took the initiative and reached out to Kevin on this, because he had made a claim in here that flyers... Someone in Troy decided to print out some of the hateful online comments and post the flyers all over downtown. Underneath the header, local racist. Names were highlighted next to the comments. It showed change. There's nothing wrong with this. You posted your name publicly on a public platform on Facebook. That is not doxing. Now, you technically can get into a gray area and say that they were encouraging something to happen. But in this case, just posting up flyers, I don't know. But we didn't see them. We walk around down here all the time. We walk around here at night, and the day we're down here all the time.
Yeah, and we also didn't really get a good time frame on when they were up, whether it was right after the protest or sometime in between then and now. But yeah, we never noticed
but
this.
He did.
And we did get a picture.
Yes.
From Kevin. He sent it, and it was downtown. I don't know how many there were. I only got the picture of the one, but
yes, and we did get the picture, and there were definitely people in those comment sections, even on our live feed. We probably had more comments than TDN had, formerly known as TDN, now Miami Valley Today. You know, so we went down there and we marched with them for 4 hours, and we made sure to interview them and give them a voice best we can and show the people what actually was going on. And it hadn't been for our coverage and the many other people live streaming there, the news media was trying to run away with the headlines, and a lot of good people came together and stopped them from running those type of headlines because of that little 10 minutes of tension that TPT didn't really handle too well there. We tried to get more comment from him other than that, but he was persistent that we interview either Bailey or Trey, but I've already done that.
We have.
You know, I've already done that. I have no problem having them on the show again. By no means. They're great speakers and very intelligent. And they have a very big passion for this cause. I reached out at Richard's Chapel as well when we were over there to one of the ladies that helped organize that event, and we gave her some business cards, and we said if there's any way that we can help facilitate an actual conversation and dialogue, I'd love to have just the mayor sit here and someone from the commission sit there with strong disagreements, but in the style of open dialogue, a civil discussion as to what's really going on. I don't think she'll do it. And before anyone says anything, I walked directly up to her and handed her a business card, said she's welcome on the show at any time. It was a very cordial meeting at Richard's Chapel, and I said I've talked with them, and I said we'd love to facilitate some kind of conversation here on the show. But I'm more interested in, the motivations that he had to write this article. And he lays them out here. He says what he claims to be racism in Troy and the issues that go on. Some of it, I think, gets lost too far in a political sense. And I've had to really reel myself back politically as well. But I understand it. But he did go to a lot of work to type this article up. Go give it a read, columbusalive.com. I just kind of wanted to clear a couple things up. There was something else that was said in here that I just thought it wasn't correct. Oh, that's what it was. So he wanted us to get Jenna Powell on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And ask her why. And I think he mentions her name in this.
Yeah, he does.
Ask her why she is allowing and voted to allow Confederate flags at the county fair. I personally, I'm not getting into that one because I have a viewpoint on that, which is it's a flag. I know. And I have these arguments with my, used to, I've had to really kind of pull back in the interest of family relations, but my brother-in-law's from the South, and we have these arguments from time to time. And I'm just like, I don't get the point of clinging on to it. I really don't. But I'm not, at the flip side of that, wave your flag, sell your flag. Move on. And you will. Now, there are consequences for flying things like that, all right? If you tried to go out there and fly a swastika flag, it wouldn't end well for you.
They should be, in my opinion, social implications rather than legal consequences.
You should be
to doing
happy
things like
that
that.
you can see those people and be like, wait a minute. I think I know. Now, there's the argument on the other side, trying to see this from all perspectives here, that it's all about heritage and that a lot of them admit that, yes, there were some unsavory things about the South. It's just, I don't understand it. I don't get why we even try and take any pride in that moment in our history. I don't. And there are a lot of I'll use the term, boomer-esque stuff that comes with it, and I'm just like, did you see Sacha Cohen Baron, I think? He played King Julian in Madagascar. He's the voice for that. And he also did, I think he was in The Dictator. He infiltrated one of these right rallies and ended up singing pretty racist lyrics, pretty cliche stuff you'd hear. And they were all singing it back at the rally. And then they all found out that it wasn't who they thought it was up there. And they tried to spin it as, oh, no, when the crowd caught on, we immediately, no, the whole video is just them like, yeah, just saying all this stuff. And I'm like, And then you know what he did? He changed outfits and came back and interviewed those people. That was hilarious. I love stuff like that because it does call out some of the absurdities on the right. I don't like getting into the right and left stuff anymore. I like to just stick to who I am, be who I am, and hear other people's perspective and move on from it. So I know that was a heated topic in the community this week, and I get a lot of his viewpoints. I think he makes a lot of valid points. I think some of it kind of gets lost. Some of the people are upset because he was in Columbus. I guess you're not allowed to move from your hometown or something and do stuff, but I don't know. I think, and he did mention in here that we should kind of fight for the issues in our hometowns. And that's what Bailey was doing. I think he was back from the Ohio State University.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I remember now. Rich Trappel there. He was talking about him or how he was going to be moving on even more so. Like his education was paying off and that he was making great strides in life. And so he was back and he took the time to come out here and get on that picnic table and talk. I'm telling you right now, and I hope these kind of conversations happen on this commission. You won't get a more powerful conversation, a more in-the-face, open dialogue than what you saw out there. Old school, open town, public square forum. I just don't think you will. I think it'd serve them better to set something up like that on Prouty Plaza every so often, a couple times a year. And maybe the commission can suggest that. Maybe that can happen, and maybe we can get somewhere with it. But we will see. So, yeah, let's see. That's pretty much about it that I had to mention with that article. There's some stuff in there that I just kind of feel like is... You might be right, But in order to open a dialogue, and I guess maybe you just feel like you got to yell at these people or give them some kind of, not hate-filled comment, but a little bit more of a negative comment to try and get their ear because they haven't been listening this whole time. I understand that. So we'll see where that goes. It says right here, Troy is a bubble of white privilege. Just look at any Ohio map from the 2016 election. About 10% of Troy's modest population of approximately 26,000 are people of color. African Americans make up a little less than half of that. Look at your own high school yearbook. So there's something valid. I mean, there's actual physical proof that you can see. Now the question is why? Why is it like that? I don't know. I don't have any insight on that, so I look to others on that one. But there was another part in here where he mentioned he went on about the bubble of white privilege, and then he went on to there was one in here where I just felt like it was kind of off the mark. Oh, he was talking about Huffman. And I remember we talked about Huffman about a week or two ago on the show, and I just don't think that's accurate. I think what happened to Huffman was something it's been typical of what's been building over the last couple of years, where he tried to do his best and ended up accidentally, or from what I was perceived, this is my perception of it, against my perspective. Maybe this person knows Huffman a little better than I do or has followed Huffman's career more than I have. But just based off that one thing, I felt like that was an unfair, cheap shot from the other side, and we can't get into that. I feel like he was trying to do his duty the best that he could by asking questions of the people who were affected. And I think the news media ran articles and headlines, and that's where it came out to be. So I talked about that on the show a while back. In fact, we got a clip of it on the Facebook page if you want more clarity on that. But I didn't think that was accurate. But then again, that was his perspective and that was his side of it. So we'll see where that goes. Big article. A lot of people are talking about it. Again, go give it a read. We'll have it in the show notes. We always provide those for you at thetroyshow.net a day or two after the show is up. So that way you can click and go read all these articles for yourself. Give these websites some of their clicks that they need to stay in business. Even though we do disagree with them from time to time, we're not animals here. We're not savages. So let's see. Let's move on. Speaking of the news media, Miami Valley Today back at it again with another just humdinger right here. Corrections for Troy City Schools funding story. So they can give a correction for the Troy City Schools funding story, but they can't be bothered to message Jay Roman and be like, hey, what did you actually say? Or watch the footage that he clipped from our live stream of the Piqua protest of him speaking and then issue a corrections, which we called them out last week on the show about that. We called them out. And we said, where's the corrections? We're looking for it. There's a lot of other stuff we're still looking for that you've promised. Where's the corrections? We're looking for it. They haven't bothered. They just misquoted the man, and they don't care. But here, in the June 23rd edition of the Miami Valley Today, a story regarding the financial future of Troy City schools needs 2 corrections. Troy City Schools will receive funding from the Federal CARES Act, but that funding still will fall hundreds of thousands of dollars short of covering the $855,097 in state funding cuts. This year, the Troy City Schools, anticipating pulling from its carryover balance for the second year in a row. The Miami Valley Today regrets these errors. But Jay, piss off. We are not correcting that story. Stop bothering. We quoted you the way we wanted you quoted, and you said the thing we wanted you to say, and we put it out there. And yeah, we could have caused harm to your reputation had it not been for other people. And the... It's just... When does this stop? Oh, we can't make the schools mad. The schools we're renowned Miami Valley Today. We can't... Jay? Who's Jay? I don't care. Who's Jay? I feel like that's how it works sometimes. Absolutely sad. But now, to the Troy City Schools, they corrected it. Must be nice. And I'm still hoping you still have a chance. You can still correct it. You can still do it. You can still do the right thing. Just every week that you don't, it just makes it seem weird. And don't tell me you haven't heard about it. Don't tell me you haven't heard about it. Everyone's heard of Jay. Everyone sees Jay. Everyone knows Jay. This is a sad story. I believe this is Piqua, yeah. Here we go. MiamiValleyToday.com. Former Ponderosa Steakhouse site has been razed. Your dad, didn't he work in a Ponderosa?
Yeah, at some
That's what I
point.
thought.
He was a breakfast chef.
My parents always talk about Ponderosa like it was God's gift to the restaurant industry, man. Everyone, I don't know. I've never got to eat at one. I think there's still a few around.
There might still be one in Inglewood if that one hasn't closed.
Yeah, I think there's still a few around. I need to hit one before it's like the last Blockbuster. I would say Ponderosa is probably the Blockbuster of our generation. And more specifically you, because you went there more than I did, or ever, actually. I don't think I ever went. I might have been in a Blockbuster once. Because we used to have one over by Kroger.
In that case, we're driving to Washington.
The last one on Earth,
Last
yeah.
one on Earth.
The Troy Show goes to Washington to find the last Blockbuster. But we used to have one, I think, over by Kroger. The old Kroger here in Troy. So demolition began this week on the former China Garden Buffet on East Ash Street. The property is best known as the longtime popular Ponderosa Steakhouse. The site is being prepared for the construction of a new Wright Pat Credit Union location.
Oh, yay, another bank.
Yay! Hey, oh, hey, look at that. Woo. Pickwa's getting another bank. Well, Troy, thank God we're not getting another bank. All right, yet. Now, I will say, right, Pat, they're growing. We need more in the area. I guess that's kind of a welcome addition. There's probably people excited about this. I would be, too. I've used Right Pat. But that just seems to be the go-to, is to put a bank in wherever something goes down. That Sonic location up there, I think they turned into a Wells Fargo of all things. And then now that's closed. Yeah, it's like the old Sonic location in Piqua, specifically built for a Sonic. You know, roller skate, drive up ordering.
What, did the bank tellers have roller skates?
I don't know. It's
That'd
like,
be amazing. I'd go to that bank any day.
Sonic closed, right? And like one day I'm getting a slushie, and the next day I'm going by, and I'm like, Wells Fargo? How the hell do you put a Wells Fargo in an old, like, what bank? I mean, this had to be like one of those cases where they were trying, like this guy really wanted a Wells Fargo, and corporate was just like, all right, we will franchise it out. I don't know, just find him a place anywhere in Piqua. I swear to God, just give him the branch. Well, there's a Sonic location. Oh, that'll be hilarious. Put him there. It'll teach him to ever want to franchise with it again. I'm not dealing with Bob's crap this week. Anyway, that's closed now too. That's the next property along that stretch that needs redone. I don't know. We'll have to reach out. I'm sure Jay can text me after the show and let me know, because he's involved with the Piqua community. Tell me what the vibe is in Piqua. Are they happy about the Right Pat Credit Union? Do they not want it? Obviously, I know everyone's still mourning the China Garden Buffet, but however, I think there's another one across the street. Not China Garden, but still another Chinese eatery across the street there. I had some Jay's Cuisine earlier this week. That was delicious. Some crab rangoon. Rezoning requests for apartments is moving forward. I can never tell if people are honking for us outside or if they're just upset.
It's because of the reverse angle parking.
Yeah. Rezoning requests for apartments moves forward, according to MiamiValleyToday.com. On Wednesday, the Troy Planning Commission approved to make a positive recommendation to Troy City Council for a request to rezone 22.5 acres in the area of State Route 718 and McCaig Road for a planned apartment complex. Let me see if I can get this image up a little bit more on my tab. Oh, okay, that'll work. Where is that at? Apartment complex.
There's is that I-75 right here?
No, that's not. I don't think that's I-75.
Is it not?
I want to say that's behind. We'd have to look at it. It's McCaig and 718. I wonder if that's the field on the other side of the roundabout. That might be closer to I-75.
I mean, I can pull up a
Yeah, if you can get me a map up, and then I'll just keep kind of talking about it here.
just one moment.
The applicant, Patricia Harshberger, stated the rezoning is to construct a private residential apartment neighborhood. The proposed development by Redwood Development Company consists of 138 total single-story style units with 4 or 6 units per structure. The neighborhood will include 5.2 acres of green space, a walking path, and a covered shelter near a proposed retention pond. The rezoning would be from county zoning of A2 general agricultural district to a residential PD. I'm guessing it's a field there. So there's 718.
Would it be this one?
And then McCaig. So, yeah, it would look like it would be somewhere in that area. Yeah, give me that overhead shot. All right, well, more housing coming to Troy, more opportunities. There you go. This is according to Google Maps. If you've not heard of Google Maps, they are a wonderful map service, not sponsored by them. And, yeah, I'll see if you can zoom out just a little bit. Trying to get an idea. So there's 75. Cheney's Nursery there. Okay, yeah, I see. So that's kind of off the neighborhoods behind Meyer. Gotcha. All right. I remember when those used to be new. That's been a minute. So yeah, that's where that's apparently supposed to go, somewhere in that area. More housing, and that's fine. As long as we're getting more housing and we're coming up with better solutions than reverse angled parking to accommodate the traffic flow, and then we can actually work on the Riverfront Development Project, which is supposedly supposed to happen in the next 10 years or so. But hold them true to their word on that one because it looks amazing, and give people an opportunity and kind of grow the city. We're kind of past the small town vibe. I mean, it's still here. All right, we don't really lose it by expanding like this, so don't worry about it. It's fine. But I'm interested to see where that goes. So some more housing possibly coming. Read more about it, MiamiValleyToday.com. On to the next one here. Tip City is celebrating. We got 2 fireworks articles here. Celebrating America's birthday, according to SydneyDailyNews.com. And this one's coming from Sheriff John Lenhart. When I was working at the radio station up there, I used to do interviews with him in the morning. He would come on for a weekly segment. I think this is where this is coming from. And it is time for the skies to explode, according to Sydney Daily News, with red, white, and blue fireworks as the United States celebrates its birthday on July 4th. Barbecues, parades, concerts, and fireworks are all part of the July 4th celebration, said Shelby County Sheriff John Lenhart during his weekly interview. They can never credit the show. I have an article hanging back there. When I took over, he came in and it was a piece when he was working to try and get a heroin facility or a rehab facility up and about. You know, it wasn't anything bad at all. Some people were upset with it. I was kind of indifferent on it.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
But the problem is, Sydney Daily News came in and they got a shot of myself behind the board and Lenhart sitting there, and they said during John Lenhart's weekly radio show. I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, this was embedded in my daily radio morning show for 4 hours, and it was a segment that Lenhart does. But that's how they operate up there. And it's not Lenhart choosing this. It's station management up there was saying that, you know, this is their show. I'm just like, all right, hang on a second. Okay, there is a give and take in media. You know, there's a little bit of like, at least credit it so people tune in and see what we're about, serving the community and whatnot. Then they did it again here. I don't know what it is. Sydney Daily News is kind of removed from MVT. I think they're under A Media still, but they're like, it's all kind of the same thing, but they seem to be holding their own up there. Sydney's a different ball game, different county, and I just find that funny. I'm just like, come on. They should have put in here, if this is from during his weekly interview. I don't know if this is a weekly interview that Sydney Daily News does with him. Last I knew, he was still doing the one on the radio station. I haven't tuned in for a while because I don't really listen to any media. I'm going to be honest. I focus on what I do. But if that is the case, it should have been whatever JC's doing up there, you know, for his show. Credited, at least. In 2021, it will be legal for Ohio residents to buy fireworks and set them off. House Bill 253 will legalize the purchase of fireworks.
Wow, it's almost like we're in America or something.
It used to be before that you had to buy them, and then, oh, yes, Mr. Crown, I will take them out of state within 48 hours. And I would launch them out of the state. That's how I would do it.
It's right on the Indiana border, right over that arch on I-70.
Oh, I hope I didn't just unplug something. I yanked on a cord. Anyway, yeah, so that's how I would get them out of the state. So I promised, and they'd get out of the state, allegedly, of course. It says right now, according to Lenhart, only 2 states are left to legalize the purchase of fireworks. Massachusetts is the other one. Lenhart said in Ohio today, a person can purchase fireworks, obviously, but they got to take them out within 48 hours. Bottle rockets, missiles, and firecrackers are some of the fireworks that can't be set off in Ohio. Local cities and villages can set up additional guidelines for setting off fireworks. In his press conference Tuesday, Governor Mike DeWine said he opposes the... what do you not oppose? In 2019, said Lenhart, 8 people died in fireworks accidents. A total of 1,300 people were hospitalized. Well, you can't fix stupid. Here's a list of things they say safety tips for fireworks that Lenhart is sharing. This is what he would do. He's come up there with safety tips. He's actually a very nice guy. No issues there. I'm sure other people have issues with. I've never gotten the law enforcement side of Lenhart, but the conversations that I've gotten to have with him, he seems like a pretty decent guy. I think he'll be retiring this year, and Jim Fry will be taking over, if I read the election results correctly. It says, do not allow young children to handle fireworks. Older children should only use fireworks with adult supervision. Do not drink alcohol while, well,
Good luck with that safety tip.
I
It's
think
the 4th of July.
I think he had to say that as a disclaimer. Do not hold a lighted firework in your hand. Only light a firework once. If it doesn't light, put it in a bucket of water. Now, that's a good idea. Just have one on
Sure,
standby.
yeah.
Sure. Never point a firework at someone else. Allegedly, Roman candles they're pretty fun, especially in an alleyway. How many people were living in the United States on July 4th, 1776? How many live in the U.S. today? Where are the most fireworks made? There's some questions they put in the article there. SydneyDailyNews.com. Go check it out. Looks like I don't know if Sydney's moving forward with their fireworks or not, but Tip City is moving with their fireworks. They're going to be doing Tip City and Troy moving forward. July, we're the only two. So like everyone else who canceled and that Piqua relies on canceling so that they can say, see, someone else did it. Yeah. Tip City and Troy. All those other folks are going to be coming here. So much for limiting the spread. Good job. Both Tip City and Troy will be moving forward with their planned 4th of July festivities despite
COVID-19!
working in conjunction with the Miami County Health Department. Both cities are asking residents to follow social distance guidelines. Troy will have a parade July 4th at 9 a.m. Are you going to be up that early, Nathan? I'm going to have to do this myself.
Where is it?
It's going to be, they always start it in the Hobart Arena parking lot and then a concert at Treasure Island before the fireworks. And they,
Okay, what's the route?
I think they go out of Hobart, they go down by the high school, they go over the bridge, they wrap around the block, and I think they kind of end up back over by Hobart. It's like a one block thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was in it one year. I think I've been in it a couple times. I found myself in it a couple times, but I guess I walk too fast was the problem. Y'all are walking too slow. Parades are, especially local ones, they're funny because, you know, they do their best to organize them, but like even trying to get all those people on the same page and like go the same speed and the animals take a dump
Have
and they
you
all stop
ever
the whole thing.
Have you ever been to the Air Force Parade in Vandalia?
No, I've not been to that one.
That might be the best local parade, and I'm not just saying that because I've been in it 4 times.
Oh, bias. That's clear bias. You're fired. Get him out.
No, it's really well organized and it's a fun time.
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds like it'd be a fun time. And what, do they just go down the one road that they have in Vandalia?
Yeah, it goes from the Catholic Church, St. Christopher Parish.
Paris.
That's the one. It goes down National and turns right on Dixie.
Okay.
So
Well,
ends down there by Airline Dairy Cream or Fat Rats, as some people
Gotcha.
call it.
well, this is according to WDTN.com. And you can go ahead and take it off. But
Oh, sure.
you know, I found myself in a local parade once. I have a love-hate relationship with these things after driving truck. That's how I turned a round trip to Detroit, from Springfield to Detroit into a 13-hour trip. It's only supposed to be 6 or 7 hours, and I turned it into 13 hours. I was getting paid by the hour, though. They called me. I got back to the yard that night, and I got into work the next morning, and I fired up the truck, and I was just sitting there waiting for my clock to do my pre-trip, and one of the other guys gets on the radio, and he's coming in from a load that he ran that morning. I'd go in a little bit later than the rest of them, and I had my CB on. And he said, well, if it ain't the Detroit Kid. I said, well, where'd you get that one from? And he said, oh, it took you 13 hours to get back. I said, yes, it did. Yes, it did. That's what happens when you try and, keep us from running the clock. When you pay us by the hour, and you're going to treat us that way. But I digress. Anyway, on the way back, I was taking some side roads. And they were doing a brake blitz at the scales. So I'm like, nope, not going to do that. So I went on the top crest of Ohio there, just below 80 and the turnpike. And then I forget which road that is that runs down there. But that one was closed. And then I had to go find another one. And then I land in the middle of a prom parade. And I am the last vehicle that they let through, was right in front of me. And so I had to stop the whole truck. And I flew that door open and I got out. And I said, you're not going to stop. I said, I've already been stopped by a million things today. And I need to get home, and I can't just turn this thing around. I said, what is going on? I thought it was an accident or something. I said, I need to get through. Just let me through. You let them through. He said, oh, no, it's just a homecoming parade's what it was. And they just got the whole, 40 people out and ran them across the road real quick to the high school, and you're just sitting there the whole time, and there's nothing you can do about it. Then there was another time that the police officer failed to do his job. This was when I was riding with my grandparents to a fair up northeastern Ohio. And he failed to do his job and cut the line off, so we ended up in the parade. We just made the bet. We just started waving out the windows and stuff, you know. I said, well, do we have any gum in here? Anything we can throw out to them? Because people were throwing
Chuck
stuff.
at people.
Dude, you wouldn't believe what I saw. Okay, so we passed like this trailer park, and suddenly there's this row of golf carts on the side of the road, all lined up. And it's like pimped out golf carts, you know, with like the clear plaster wrap that goes down the sides. It's like AC unit inside the golf cart. It's heated. It's cooled. You know, people are just sitting in their golf carts waving at us. And as we'd go by, one by one, the golf carts would turn around and head back into the park. It's like everyone there owned a golf cart. It was the weirdest thing. It's like a little self-contained community. They had probably had their own little roads and stuff, and that's just how they got around. I don't know how we ended up in that, but we did. It took forever to get where we were going, but we made it, thanks to the fire truck in the front, getting everyone out of the way. So Troy and Tip City are going to be doing a parade. But I was just asking, you know, it's 9 a.m., so we'll have to get up early and go out there, and maybe we'll film it and follow the route or something. And then maybe we can film the fireworks and live stream that. I shouldn't have said that. Now all the other media outlets are going to steal my idea. Oh, well, we said it first.
Oh, well, we should just put a webcam up of the traffic circle. It'll show them.
Yeah, I've always, thought to myself, I should check the traffic before I go out. Never. I just get down here and I go, it's kind of cool for those maybe who can't get out of their house or whatever.
I walk outside and I look to the right.
Yeah.
And if it looks all right, I'm good.
I don't even watch the weather anymore. You know, I look at the sky and I go, it could be a little dicey. If I really need to plan something, I'll look at it. But half the time, they don't have it right either. So, county is seeking to renew a bridge levy, according to MiamiValleyToday.com. The Miami County Commissioners on Thursday declared their intention to renew the country's bridge levy, which is county's bridge levy. $0.45 million 5-year levy used for the reconstruction, resurfacing, and repair of bridges within Miami County. The commissioners still have to approve sending it to the Miami County Board of Elections, but once that future resolution is approved, it is expected this renewal levy will be on the November 3rd general election ballot. Voters have approved this levy every 5 years since 1951. Wow. It gives me a lot of leverage to be able to bring money back to Miami County from the federal government, the county engineer, Paul, said. I'm not going to try the last name. Hulskamp?
Hulskamp.
Hulskamp.
Maybe. There, that you is weird. Whatever.
I don't know where these...
Sorry, Paul. I didn't
we
mean that.
apologize, Paul. He used the example of the replacement of the Eldian Road Bridge, which took place in 2015 and cost $2.4 million to complete. The county used local funds of $148,000, or approximately 6% of the cost of the total project, from the bridge levy in order to leverage federal grant funding for that project. I don't really have much to say here. We all know that most construction projects are over budget and not on time, take forever, but I would like to have a really well-constructed bridge at the end of the day, so I'm not going to harp on them too much.
How about we use that money for a pedestrian bridge?
Hey, again, I'm for tax money, especially local and state, where I can really see it. I don't have a problem with that too much. And as long as the people spending it are utilizing it for the benefit of the city and moving us forward, I don't have a problem with it. But like you said, we do need that pedestrian bridge over the river, part of the riverfront project. Make it a wide one. I'm telling you, make it a wide one and put the farmer's market and half the festival on that thing, the other half in the downtown. There you go. That would be really cool. I think that would be really neat. I don't know how much it would cost to maintain that bridge over the course of time, and I could see a lot of people say, that would ruin the view with the geese crapping all over the place.
Improve the view.
I think
we need
it would.
more of a skyline around here, if you ask me.
Go over to the, not you, but just people listening or watching, go over to the Troy, Ohio government's website and look for the Riverfront Development Project. Feast your eyes on those photos. I'm really interested. It's really interesting. And go check it out.
You know, I hear people say, "Oh, it'll ruin the feel, the historic feel, or whatever." I wonder if the people in 1850, whatever, when the courthouse went up, thought, "Oh, that'll ruin our riverfront view," and now it's a beloved piece of architecture downtown.
What do you think the Indians thought?
they weren't too happy about it. I'll tell you that much.
What do you think old Tequantis or Tequantis, whatever it is hanging over there? What do you think he thought about that? Now, the whole thing is, progress is progress, and sometimes it is ingrained in very sad, unfortunate circumstances. And there's a lot of things in hindsight as 2020 that we could handle a lot better. But we are where we are now, and I feel like we need to do what we can to take the knowledge of the past and move forward in the correct and appropriate way and get it done right. And we do have to realize that there's only so much history that we can preserve before one day people will look back at the new things that we've built and they'll say, wow, that's historic, and we'll have a whole new historic society here in Troy. Like, you can't tear down the Kettering Hospital. You can't tear down the Chick-fil-A. You can't tear down the brand new revitalized Sherwood Plaza. You can't tear down the remodeled Speedways or whatever it is what we'll be doing
Circle
next.
K.
The Circle K, yeah. Yeah, the Circle K they put in. Dude, that is the nicest Circle K I've ever been in.
It's a good one.
I remember when they built that thing over there in replace of the old Friendly's restaurant. RIP to Friendly's. Yeah, you lost one in Vandalia too, didn't you?
Yeah, there did used to be one there.
But they put the Circle K in there, and I walked in there. I'm going to go here and see what this is about. I stopped. I did the double take. I walked back out. I looked up at the sign. I said, okay, this is Circle K. And then I walked in there. It's so nice in there. And they've maintained that, too. It's really nice. You can't redo the golf. Well, the golf course was historic. That clubhouse was historic. They redid that. So there comes a point where there's only so long you can maintain it, and that was prevalent in Tip City the other day. And we'll go ahead and get to this. Let's go ahead and get to this.
Sure.
Since it's a nice segue, we'll go ahead and talk about it. So the other day I'm sitting here, and I try to keep up with the news best I can. And Steve Baker, which, by the way, go to Streamlabs and bring up, let me see which photo this is. It's quite funny. Dun, dun, dun. It's, no, you're going to have to go back up. Oh, there it is. Yep, that's the one. Pull that one up. This one's from Steve Baker. So we were doing this thing where we've been following Steve. I don't know if he's just falling asleep at his keyboard or pressing the wrong button, but he gave a shout out the other day to McCall Fried Eggs. And,
What?
yeah, dude, say that. It's McCall Fried Eggs, right?
Vradigs?
I was driving with my brother one day, big WHIO listener, and he was like, man, why didn't you change your last name for the radio? It just doesn't work. It sounds like fried eggs. It does. Every time she says fried eggs. And I've noticed in recent years she's really had to change how she says it. I've kind of picked up on it over the years because she's very clear with it now. Fried eggs. And this is what he posted. So McCall Fried Eggs. And you say it enough and suddenly you're just saying fried eggs. In radio, most people's names are not their actual names. I believe it is Chris Collins. It's not his real name. I think he's still with WHO. It's not
What
his
about
real
your
name.
name?
Mine is real, and it's never worked on the radio, and I can't stand it, and that's why I don't say it on this show. I don't use it. I don't need to. Charge the battery back.
Oh,
Was it
no.
not? If you could plug that in
Yeah.
for me. But anyway.
Let's see here.
Yeah. So I don't like my name. I don't say it here on the show. It's not about me. It doesn't flow. All these DJs and all these people just got to say their name or come up with something quirky for their name. Like, get out of here. I get branding and everything. That's fine, but get over yourself to a certain degree. I've never liked doing it. In all stations that I've worked at, you got to come up with something quirky. You got to come up with something neat that flows and rhymes, and it's just got to break in and annoy people during their songs and whatnot. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'd rather just speak the content and have fun. And if people want to get to know me a little bit better, they're more than welcome to. BeautifulTroyShow@gmail.com. So the Board of Elections, actually, I forgot we're talking about Tip City. So Steve Baker posts the other day. That's why I brought that up. Steve Baker posts the other day that a historic building on the east side of Tip City had collapsed. And that was at 3 p.m. is when he reported that they had first heard about it. And then at 3:30 he posts, and then I get down there by 4. Like, I got to get some footage of this, see what's going on. Get it up on the page. And I get down there, and I'm walking up. I parked a little ways away. And I get down there, and I'm walking up through Tip City. Every once in a while, I'm reminded that Tip City's down there. And they have downtown. And it's actually really nice. It's kind of like, it's got a Yellow Springs vibe to it, but Tip City. And there's some unique stuff down there that I never think about, little eateries and whatnot. So I'm kind of checking out that. And then I see where all the lights are and the EMS is at. And as closer I get, I'm thinking, where is this building that collapsed? There's nothing on the road. Is it further down? Is it on the other side of this building that I can't see? So I cross the road and I possibly photobombed 7. I don't know. I haven't seen their nightly news coverage or clips of that yet. Trust me, they know how to cut us out of a shot, believe me. And so anyway, I set up the tripod and whatnot, and I kind of felt embarrassed, but I had to end up looking at someone, and I said, well, which building? He said, it's that one. And I said, the white one? And he said, yeah. I said, okay. And I started to look at it, and it's got the electrical lines definitely shifted, and the building you could tell was bowed upon further inspection. But it turns out just the first floor collapsed into the basement is what they were reporting. And here I am, going down there thinking a whole building just got laid out across the street, and then dust pile everywhere and rubble. And then they started to change it. Well, reported this, and it was this, and it was actually first floor. And I'm thinking, man, you guys got to be a little bit more careful with that, because we have it on film, actually. One of the guys that showed up while I was filming there, we got the clip posted to our Facebook page. We have it on this audio, this guy showing up saying, well, Steve Baker made it sound like this was just a scene down here, that a whole building had collapsed. And I told him, I said, no, I don't know. He's been falling asleep at his keyboard recently, so I don't know.
It was a little more interesting when the grain silo fell down on 571.
Yeah, I mean, more, I don't know, because I guess someone else's devastating loss probably isn't that interesting, but it was definitely more newsworthy, or like, wow, really?
There's corn covering 571. Nobody can get through.
If that happened, yeah, you post that and people go, wow. But when I don't know, I feel like sometimes they just embellish, or they're just too quick to fire something off. Like, I'll do a traffic update on the page every once in a while, and I just say it's reported. It could be between these mile markers. Just watch out. That's all. And I don't really need to know too much about, because people are already going through enough when they get in an accident or something. So I kind of just try and report it best I can for the sake of letting people know. But that's about it. So I get down there, and I'm walking around, and the fire department tells me, you got to back up. I got to have you at the top of the hill. And I turned around and I said, well, are these press people allowed to stand here, or do they got to back up with me? Because I'm not just going to back up because I'm the Troy Show. And he's like, oh, yeah, everyone's got to go to the top of the hill. So I go to the top of the hill, and I look down, and the whole fire department and police department are standing under the power lines that they said was a hazard for us, laughing and joking around, just talking, like they weren't doing anything. I'm like, well, what are you standing there for? And then eventually one of the other reporters with the camera walked down there, and I'm like, well, screw this. I'm going back down there. If he can get this close, I'm getting that close. Because I wanted to actually see the building for myself. I like going down there as a third-party source to the news. That's what we did with the protests. That's what we did with the courthouse for the election results. We're there to try and make sure that what comes out is actually what happened. And that was pretty much it. I mean, it wasn't, they're going to condemn the building. They shut down 571 at 202. I think that's a little too far back to shut it down, but there's really nothing else. There ain't nothing down there, So just take that for what you will. That will be shut down there for a little bit at 571 entering Tip City. And then I got out of there. It was hot. Someone recognized me down there. I don't know how. And they walked up and said, Troy Show. And I said, yeah. He said, I wish it was a little bit cooler out. I said, you ain't kidding with this hair? And that was the extent of the conversation. So we're being recognized when we go out places. I will tell you, Nathan, I've done a lot of stuff over 10 years, terrestrial radio, different radio stations and whatnot. This is the first time people have ever recognized.
Well, it's hard to recognize somebody from the radio.
Yeah, and I think the problem, and that was why I got out of it, is because when they did invest in talent and paid you minimum wage, they didn't invest in talent. They don't want you to be too much anymore. So I'm just like, you know what, screw this. I'll go do my own thing. And they didn't brand or anything. A lot of them didn't even know really how to use Facebook. Still don't. So I'm just like, I'm out. I'll go do my own thing, stay in my lane, have fun, enjoy myself, do what I love, and move on. So the Board of Elections is seeking I keep doing that there, seeking a early voting space. November may seem far off, according to MiamiValleyToday.com, but the Miami County Board of Elections is preparing for large voter turnout while juggling the challenges of social distancing mandates for early voting. On Tuesday, Director Laura Bruns reported to the board that the office needs a large enough space for this year's general elections, which will require 6-foot spacing and more early voting. Wait a minute. Why didn't they just do that last time? You required all these other stores to set it up overnight. But, of course, the government can't be bothered to follow its own mandates, so they get to have time to figure everything out.
So they're already kind of saying that...
we're doing this in the fall.
We're doing it for another 6 months, probably.
Honestly, we might do this for another year at this rate. Like, they are hell-bent on the vaccine. I can't say this enough, there's no cure for viruses, and vaccines are a hit and miss. So I won't go too far into that, but I'm just kind of pointing that out. So Board of Elections is trying to set up for 6 feet. Now, this is your territory, Nathan. Vandalia city manager Cruzet has resigned. The Vandalia city manager has resigned his position effective Friday, July 3rd, according to a statement released Monday afternoon. Previously served as the Tip City manager before coming to Vandalia in April of 2014. He subsequently retired in 2017 and was rehired to the same position. I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish in Vandalia. We have made great strides in economic and community development, and I'm confident Vandalia will have the same types of success moving forward. You know, I've always noticed about these like resignation letters that they put down. They never really have any accomplishments to list. Like, I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish in Vandalia. What's that? More speeding tickets on National?
Yeah, they dropped the
Good job.
the speed on National from 35 to 25. So
What, figuring out
and
better
they-
turn lane structure down there?
And they put up some nice lights there as well to make sure you see that you're breaking the law.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They had that cop car, that empty one, stationed at the beginning of the road. Well, he might have been, I don't know. Vandalia cops.
That is actually for some kind of like police week or something that happens every year.
Oh, I just thought
they put
happened
they put them out in the lawn of the Catholic Church
Yeah,
with
that's
like
what I saw.
with like a wreath on the front, something about.
Well, it just happened at the same time as the 25 going into play, so maybe that was why. But I don't know. I've had my run-ins with VPD. Not a fan. So
Yeah, they like to talk to people for no reason, but
yeah, they do
whatever.
that. I noticed that. They like to roll stop signs, but they don't like it when you do. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But I just noticed that about like these resignations. Like, I'm so proud. Well, what did you do? What did you do? Interesting. I don't know the politics of Vandalia that well, so we'll find out later. But let's see. Miami County local municipalities to receive $3.7 million in federal funding. We did it, everybody. We went along with the federal and the state guidelines, and we got the funding. We didn't stand up for any of you. Don't worry about it. But now we have the funding, so we're all good. Is kind of my best guess there. Miami County local municipalities are going to get that $3.7 million in cash. MiamiValleyToday.com. How does the government get that? Is there like a local government bank account? Or do they get it in a briefcase escorted by whatever various agency?
Mike DeWine takes it out of his vault and he puts it in one of those Brinks trucks. It pulls up to the back of the courthouse and empties it out. That's how that works.
Yeah, Mike DeWine has this little gold reserve down there. Yes, they can have this.
It's his own Fort Knox.
His own little Fort Knox. The Miami County Commissioners established new funds this week to help them distribute federal funds to local municipalities and townships from the CARES Act and Ohio House Bill 481. According to the Miami County Auditor's Office, the allocation of funds Miami County will be receiving from the CARES Act and House Bill 481 is $3.7 million. Almost 3.8.
Well, you're not going to read that out?
No. It's government. We don't really give a crap about the little tiny amounts of change.
The $2.60. That might buy somebody a cup of water.
Might buy you a mask. This amount will be distributed between Miami County townships and municipalities, provided they have a resolution establishing protocols. No wonder they didn't send that letter. Filed with Miami County Auditor Matthew Gearhart. We want you to open the state the way we want you to open the state, DeWine. Here's the letter. Oh, well, you're actually doing a great job of it, DeWine. Don't worry about it. We're not actually going to send you that letter. Just open that vault for us. On Thursday, the commissioners approved establishing a county coronavirus relief distribution fund and all this other stuff. I don't know how this is going to get back to the businesses that were actually affected. The government really doesn't need this money. The people need the money, and the businesses need the money. We did your thing, and we did it right, and I guess supposedly it worked. So if you don't mind, could you kind of help us out because we put our entire lives on hold for a little bit? Meanwhile, you had the vault to return to every night. So I don't know how that's going to help anyone in that, but we'll see. Maybe some projects and whatnot. Here's a little piece from the Troy Chamber of Commerce. Now, if you remember, we had Kathy Roeder, the executive director, on a couple weeks ago, and she was up here telling us a little bit about how the chamber is handling COVID and whatnot. If you want to go ahead and bring that up, it's entitled, I don't know if she wrote this or if this is just something general from the chamber or if this was sent out to all the different chambers across the country and they were told, hey, you can use this on your website. It says, should you take a political or social stance with your business? Immediately off the bat, I'm going to say no. I feel like that's a huge problem that we've had recently where we start to conflate I'm a very big believer in separation of personal and business. And your business is your business, and you sell this, so you sell that, and you just don't say anything. But of course, now we're in a different culture and time period, so people have different thoughts on that. But it's a nice little piece. Ask some interesting questions, and you can kind of read it for yourselves there. And it states off at the very beginning of this. This is over at TroyOhioChamber.com. This question has been asked for as long as there have been businesses and differences of opinion. Recently, this topic has been brought to a head with the Black Lives Matter movement. It used to be that taking no stance was the safest, but with the death of George Floyd, there are many individuals who see a lack of stance as a stance of its own. This has been a deeply dividing issue, with some business owners wanting to get involved, while others have worried that standing for the cause was akin to supporting mass destruction of property and being anti-business. So what should a business do? And then the rest of the article, we'll share that with you if you want to go to TroyOhioChamber.com and read it for yourself. Just off the bat, for myself, you got to understand, like, if the businesses are taking a stance usually just so they can say, don't burn us to the ground. We're on your side. And then they still get burnt to the ground. Okay, it's much larger than your business. Don't be that cringy. It's much larger than your business. All right, they're upset. And I don't know how to talk about it. I feel like this one needs to be saved for another moment in time. But no, I believe in personal separation and business separation. And unless you start out as that as your cause, if you sell blinds or windows or you're an asphalt company or something, just look how it turned out for McAfee. Just do your thing and move on. And don't take a stance per se. But then a lot of people complain that, well, you're not using your platform. I don't have to. It's not your platform. It's my platform. I built it, and I will do what I want with it, is the way I see it. Well, you're not using your platform for whatever cause that I want you to use it for. Well, man, this is a McDonald's. This is such and such. What are you talking about? You can't please everybody, so I think the safest lane that you can stay in is just your lane. Oh, but then I could see if you don't speak out, you're not being a leader on injustices. Well, do that in your personal time. Don't take it out on the business. The business has nothing to do with that. If you've built up a platform in a personal sphere because of your status as a business owner, then maybe go use it for that. But making a business suffer where countless people rely on work from them, that's ridiculous. Now your cause has lost its message, and you're affecting people that might even agree with your message, that they don't say anything because they're at work. Let's see. Piqua Board of Education releases a statement against racism. This is kind of more the area where I think these should be. I think it's just our governments that need to listen to us. I don't think the businesses need. I have my gripes with corporations. Don't get me wrong. And their mistreatment and so forth, so on, and some of the business culture that's been made. I get that. But the problem is the Piqua BOE, this is kind of where these things should stem from. That should be where it comes from, is your local governments. People going to where it's actually a problem, your local government. They released a statement against racism. The Piqua City School District Board of Education, according to MiamiValleyToday.com, began its regular meeting Thursday by giving a statement on where the board stands with regard to racism. This statement was deemed necessary, according to board president Clint Bostic, given the nation's current racial climate. Piqua City Schools Board of Education confirms that systematic racism significantly diminishes students, staff, and the community at large. This calls for each staff member to continue to examine and address our own biases and racial tendencies, as well as not tolerate any biases and racial tendencies associated with our work. The board is committed to allocating financial resources that strengthen and support diversity, equity, and inclusion through professional development, training resources, and/or public speakers. Additionally, we are committed to keeping this conversation moving forward through regular updates between the board and representation from the City Piqua School District Inclusivity Committee. So there you have it. They've issued a statement. We'll see what it does, and it's good they're speaking out against it. And that's, I don't know, it's hard to change the hearts and minds of people. I will tell you that much. But maybe with constant speech, we can do something about it. Let's move on to sports here. I'll just kind of read these headlines off to you because, again, I don't have a platform to speak on sports. It's not my expertise. I don't get to go out and see the games, especially because of COVID. I wanted to get more involved this year. But here's a couple headlines for you if you have any ties to these sports teams or interest. The Mountains commit to Bowling Green. Troy's Hittelbrand to play football for Falcons, according to MiamiValleyToday.com. Another title here says, good to be home. Troy Legends blank Greenville 5-0. That's according to MiamiValleyToday.com. And Brumbaugh signs with Cedarville. Milton Union grad to continue tennis career in college. Once again, according to MiamiValleyToday.com. We'll have the links for you in the show notes if you're a sports fan of local sports here, and you can go find out for yourself. There's more I want to do and get an opinion formed on it. Haven't had the chance this year because of all the odd guidelines. Moving on to our crime section. A Troy man charged with assaulting an officer, or did he, is the question this week because TPD does not have body cameras and it would cost them too much. If they can strike a deal with a company to get tablets in the jailhouse at no cost to the taxpayer, and they already have cameras up, which means they've got servers somewhere, can you not just integrate body cameras? That's the sheriff's department, safety building. I'm just saying, there's got to be an option to fix this. The picture of this guy, it looks like he's been pretty brutalized here. And I'm going to move this here for you a little bit, Nathan, because look at this article. It's pretty big. And they've got this in-depth report, and it's all coming from the perspective of the officer, saying that he responded to the 1400 block of Hunter's Court on a 911 report of two male subjects standing in front of a home on a dead-end street. The reporting party said it looked as if they were drinking out of a large can near his vehicles. The reporting party said they took off once his dog was let outside in the backyard and started barking. So let's say here, it says they were standing in front of a home on Dead End Street. Was it on the street or was it on the property? See, these are the details that I want to know. Officer Eric Kilborn responded to the area and found two male subjects matching the reporting party's description. One male dressed in all black took off running northbound. The other male subject, Miller, stayed at the scene. Miller did not provide the name of the subject that ran, and failed to comply with Kilborn's questions. Kilborn stated in the report that Miller appeared to be highly intoxicated due to his speech and was unsteady on his feet. Miller then reportedly walked backwards away from Kilborn, stating he did nothing wrong. As Kilborn reached to secure his hands, Miller pulled away and began walking in circles, according to the police report. It appeared Brandon was going to run or attack me by his mannerisms. The report also indicated Kilborn was unaware of the other subject's whereabouts or would return to the scene. Reports state that Miller got on one knee, but failed to comply with orders to lay flat on the ground and put his hands behind his back. He then reportedly jumped up and took off running on foot as Kilborn gave chase. Miller reportedly attempted to strike Kilborn with a closed fist, but missed. Miller then attempted to run in a backyard of a home, but was blocked by a fence and fell. Kilborn deployed the taser, my mouse is in the way, which struck Miller, who continued to run and pull the probes out. Miller then fell into a mailbox post and was tased again. Miller then reportedly continued to fight with Kilborn until other officers arrived at the scene who helped detain him. That's a lot for that call.
Tased twice. Well, here's the problem. There's so much missing. I guess MVT can really only go off of the officer's report. And then when I first saw this come up, and there was, I believe, a lady on Facebook sharing this as an injustice, and I've made it clear in the show, I don't take the police's side just to take the police's side. I don't do that. I take everything on a case-by-case basis here. I have no support to offer to them, and I have no non-support to offer them, basically. I look at these things as unbiased as I can, and I'm more fascinated. I always get fascinated by the details of something. I want to know the intricacies of the law, because if they're standing on the sidewalk drinking out of a can, it could be water, it could be anything, it could be alcohol. Now, if you're standing on someone's property and you're drinking water, that doesn't matter. Now you're on someone's property. There's these differences that get lost, maybe because the officer doesn't want to write as much. I'm told the police officers write enough to fill a library in their career. So the first thing I thought was, well, let's just go down there and get the public records request, get the body cam. Oh, wait a minute. Can't do that. Well, I thought, well, let's go get the cruiser cam at least. Oh, wait a minute. It was a foot chase. So they got away from the cruiser. And his mic probably wouldn't have been, if they even have mics for their body cameras on their vests, not their body cameras, their dash cams, then
So there's nothing here. You just got to go off of his word that all of these things actually occurred. And yeah, he beat the crap out of him because he was resisting. Could you just comply a little bit harder for me? So we just have to go off the word. Like, that's a problem. I really think that's a problem. Now, body camera is a double-edged sword because you probably won't get away with speeding tickets anymore. You probably won't get away with as much because they're going to be bound to the letter of the law, which feels like they should be. So that is that's what's going on there. And they're saying that he was an injustice and he was unfairly beat. That's one side of the story. And then the other side of it is that he resisted, was acting goofy, and you'll never guess the officer feared for his life. It's like I hear that story every single time. But if you say that you fear for your life, that's not normal. You're not acting right. I don't know, Nathan. It's one of those things where it's like, man, I'd love to just know. I'd love to know. Was the cop wrong or was this person wrong? But we can't because, well, I guess you can't dig up the funds for body cameras. Now I meant to ask Jay about this earlier. I sent him this article the other day because I asked him, I said, who's shooting stuff up in Piqua? According to this article by MiamiValleyToday.com, one in custody after a man allegedly shoots up a neighborhood. And there's a photo on here by Mike Ulrey. I believe he's the photographer over there at MVT. And it's got about 5 or 6 rounds through the window is what it looks like. A man is incarcerated in the Miami County Jail after allegedly firing at least 15 rounds from a handgun. If you're listening on your tablet, sir, they don't have phones yet for you, and I would not encourage you to use your one phone call to call us and tell us what happened, but I know you have tablets over there, and you can watch PG-13 movies now, so I would assume that maybe you can tune into the Humble Troy show. But it says 15 rounds from a handgun on West North Street early Friday morning, many of which struck nearby houses. Faces a list of charges after being reported to police as being possibly disoriented while in the company of a couple of kids in the vicinity of Washington and Green Streets. Deputy Piqua Police Chief Marty Grove said officers located Radar, his last name, around 6:15 a.m. and determined he appeared to be under the influence of some type of drugs. He was then taken into custody. Radar. He didn't know if he had hit them or not, said Grove. The investigation led police to that 1000 block of West North Street where officers discovered bullet holes through the front and side of the residence. Piqua officers made entry into the home to determine if anyone had been hit by the bullets, but no one was located. So that's kind of interesting. It says here 2 children, ages 1 and 3, were with Radar and in his care at the time of the incident. Both were removed by Miami County Children's Services, obviously. They were not injured. He was taken by Piqua police to the police station for questioning and then to Miami County Jail. It is amazing that no one got hit by bullets, said Grove. So that's what's going on in crime in the area this week. On to our newly found segment here on the show. We actually have one this week. It's called Quick News. It's when we find articles that just really shouldn't be articles, but somehow they are. And welcome to Quick News. Mark Scott of Troy walks the trails at the Miami County Park District's Hobart Urban Nature Preserve, searching for photo opportunities on Thursday. It's called Photo Hunting at MiamiValleyToday.com. This has been it for Quick News. I saw your tactic this week to keep up. Just load it 15 seconds in advance and you're good to go. Now on to our glance section. This is kind of where we wrap the show up. Just go over some stuff that maybe there wasn't a lot to talk about in depth, but we can still talk about a little bit here. Tornado confirmed in the county. I don't even know when this happened. Oh, look, another EF0. Man, they're all about those this year. We had a super weak EF0, I think, a while back. Troy got the EF0. And so, like, there's this little competition. Like, just give us the EF0. And look at this photo that Miami Valley Today put with it. Damn.
That is
the most powerful EF0 I have ever seen in my life.
That can't be an actual image of what happened.
Whoa. Someone check on Dorothy. My God. The National Weather Service in Wilmington has confirmed. I wish I had like a robot voice like that guy. My CB in my pickup truck has that weather scan feature on it.
Yep.
The thing will be off, but it's hardwired into the truck. It just pops on and starts whining at me. The National Weather Service in Wilmington has confirmed, and that stupid radio AI voice. But it touched down near Covington on June 9th. The tornado is estimated to have started at 8:32 p.m. and ended at 8:30. 1 minute.
That's more of an E than an EF0.
The maximum wind speed of the tornado is estimated at 70 miles per hour. a maximum path width of 75 yards and path lengths of 0.5 miles. There were no injuries as a result of tornado, according to the National Weather Service. I thought the only reason they categorized an EF0 for Troy's this year was because it was like 84 miles per hour, and the EF0 has to be like 83 miles per hour, and then there was also a little bit of rotation, which I'll give them that. Like, I've not made any arguments that on either side of the downtown it wasn't a tornado. I'm still iffy on the actual downtown, but yeah, that 70. I've been in 75 mile per hour winds from the residual of a hurricane, and I brought down a limb on the house once. And so I guess rotation kind of defines that. But you would think a 70 mile per hour would be one of those super weak EF0s I've heard about. Like anything under what Troy had would be a super weak EF0. They can't keep it straight. Well, whatever. On to the next one. Summer reading clubs to begin at library. If you're interested in that, check it out. MiamiValleyToday.com has some information over there for you on that. The Vets Museum to host at the event at their new location. I've been following and driving by their location. Every once in a while, I'll go over to Long Shots Golf Range, and I'll pass their new location over there, which was like, I think, the old Irwin Chrysler Jeep Dodge car lot location, if I'm not mistaken. They've been working with them. I think they're raffling off a Jeep, actually, over at Irwin Chrysler Jeep Dodge in honor of the Veterans Museum, which actually used to be right behind me. And you never know it. It was really cool. I found it up there one day after living here for so long. They do a great job of preserving the history of World War II. And I don't know if they're allowed to do that anymore in today's standards, but they do a great job of it. So if you are interested in it, they've got a bigger, newer facility over at 25A there, and you can go check it out. So they're going to be hosting an event at the location. When is this? 9 to 11:30 a.m. Coffee event is going to be held on July 1st. So 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's called Veterans Coffee at its new museum site on Wednesday, July 1st, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. That's 2245 South County Road 25A. First coffee event that they're holding there since COVID-19 closures. And they've been working on that location over there. So concert season is kicking off. They've got an image of this one up. Talked about this one last week a little bit. This was the concert series that Treasure Island, the esteemed, beautiful Treasure Island, has now launched. And here's an image of it, the socially distanced concert, a.k.a. any other small-town concert, and how it looks on any other given day. So, yeah, apparently that was their thing. It's a decent turnout for Treasure Island. And I talked about this a couple shows back. I did go over and walk at Treasure Island. If you want my thoughts on it, skim through some various past shows. I don't think I was able to clip it. This was kind of before we started our clipping series on the Facebook page and YouTube channel. But it is great. I do like what they've done. I just think that it was reversed. I think they should have worked on other things and then beautified Treasure Island because of the flooding and whatnot. But it's nice. It's nice to have that. So concert series back over at Treasure Island, kicking off. But we have to cancel other stuff. I don't get it. Jenna Powell announces a Facebook Live event. Hey, if they're still listening, and to those who need to have some words with Jenna Powell, because I don't have her on command, her lady interview or aide. Lady who sets up interviews for her. Very nice, great at her job. Was very efficient when we wanted an interview with her, and we got it. And we have a clip of that and also the interview a little ways back in the archive on our Facebook page. But if you do need to ask her some questions, she's holding a Facebook Live event next week with special guests Matt Sharp and Aaron Baer to discuss the recent Supreme Court decisions and their impact on local communities. Now, I don't know if they're going to be responding to comments, but you might want to go show up there and get your words. And that is what she is. Now, I agree that she's there as a local representative to represent her constituents, so she should listen at least and answer your questions straightforward as to why she allows the sale of Confederate flags. I don't know if it's just her, but she voted in favor to not ban them. Let's see here. Council passes new legislation for CARES Act fund. This is out of Sydney, SydneyDailyNews.com. The Sydney City Council passed new legislation Monday evening, formally requesting for the city of Sydney's share of the federal CARES Act money allocated to the state of Ohio. If you're interested in some more detail on that, SydneyDailyNews.com will have that for you. Big Brothers Big Sisters receives a grant. And so they got a grant, and we'll kind of run through these real quick. They got a grant that Big Brothers Big Sisters and then the Robinsons give back to the Troy Rec as well. And they also donated some money there. So Big Brothers Big Sisters received a grant, about $35,000, I think, from the Arby's Foundation. Hey, I would love $35,000 worth of Arby's food. That sounds good. You got me in the mood for Arby's the other night.
It won't last that long. I put my half of my beef and cheddar in the fridge, and it didn't last more than a day.
Well, I'm gonna have to get the
$35,000 worth of Arby's. It just might not last in your fridge. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of eating. We're gonna have to take the Warren Buffett approach and get that card where we just go in there and every time we get it for free. That'll work. Why do they do that? Why do they give these guys with all the money in the world that don't need free meals the gold card at McDonald's?
Yeah, I've heard that before. That
Pretty dumb.
once you get rich, you stop having to spend money, which is it's amazing how that works.
It's weird. At McDonald's, we're committed to just stopping world hunger. Hey, Warren Buffett, you need some free meals? You look a little underfed. His last name you could say is Buffet if you wanted. Seriously. So Big Brothers Big Sisters received a grant, and the Robinsons give back to the Troy Rec. That's from both of those, MiamiValleyToday.com. And I think they donated some money to the rec center here in Troy. Oh, opening up files.
Not meaning to.
The Robinsons, that's kind of just had a brain fart there for a second. Brain fart. God, I feel bad for even saying that. Slight uptick on COVID-19. Uh-oh.
COVID-19!
I'm telling you, you really got to lock the door and keep him out of here. But there's been a slight uptick on COVID-19 cases. You don't say. We spent this whole time being told that, we got to get the testing up and running. We got to test. And then everyone's like, oh, my God, there's new cases. The death rate isn't going up, thank God. Let's all calm down for a second. But Miami County has seen a bit of an uptick in COVID-19 cases, according to MiamiValleyToday.com, over the past few weeks. On Friday, June 5th, there were 367 positive coronavirus cases, and as of Wednesday, June 24th, there are now 411 positive cases reported for a total of 44 new cases recorded in the last 19 days. All right, now where's the death rate on here? I think we had one reported death this week that I knew of. A couple hospitalizations. Well, yeah, it's a...
Oh, it just said no new deaths.
Oh.
Yeah, no new deaths.
Are a good thing, yeah.
All right.
I've seen people
here we go.
freaking out about that.
There have been no new deaths since mid-May.
Yeah, I think we just had one. I think one was reported today. I don't know if it was Miami County, but it's somewhere in this area. And, okay, so yeah, we're going to be seeing, and it's a good thing. It's good because now we're actually getting the real statistics as to what's going on. We're getting the real proof. Was this thing as bad as they said it was? And as cases go up and death rate doesn't, that's not good news for the folks that wanted us to do all of these things. And they don't want to just admit that maybe they were wrong. Now, I'm still waiting, okay? And I do want to tell, there was someone I saw that said, why haven't we gotten any testing in this area? If you paid attention, he said, I watched the news and no one reported it. Where were you and I, Nathan? We were in front of the Kettering test facility.
Yep.
Where were we last week? Up here talking about the local CVS pharmacy testing. Maybe it was a week or two ago. All right, we've been reporting it, and I will give WHIO credit on this and everyone else. They've been reporting it as well. It goes back to the argument I made at the beginning of the show. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist and hasn't been done. In fact, there's been many. Huber Heights, if you drive 15 minutes down 202, there's testing down there at the urgent care facility. So, yeah. Just, I don't know, maybe read the news a little bit more. And then Piqua Historic District to host a scavenger hunt. So if you're interested in that, getting out of the house, go check it out. I think it's a Where's Jay scavenger hunt. They're gonna go up there and find out. Where's the money? Where's all the money? Where's the investments that we're supposed to pay? Is that the scavenger hunt? No, it's just someone putting together a nice little scavenger hunt. Get out of the house. 16 historical items or something like that. All right, it's time. We saved it for the very last, the end of the show. We've got 3 Bugle Caller articles, and they do such great work over there, and they're hilarious, and we love them a lot. So I'm not going to read the whole thing word for word. I want you to go read it for yourself. It's really funny. This is the Bugle Caller. They're satire. Everything from here on out is satire. All right? Here we go. Boom. Homemade firework factory explodes in Casstown. Boom. It says the shockwave was felt around the county. A homemade firework factory inside of a small Casstown home exploded on Thursday night, followed by a grand finale of red, white, and blue fireworks. The case of the explosion is unknown, but neighbors suggest that the house was also being used as a meth lab. Between crystal meth and fireworks, something was bound to blow up. Nobody knows exactly what went down, but whatever happened must have been absolutely batshit crazy. The explosion wasn't entirely unexpected. In 2020 alone, police received 26 reports of suspicious activity in the Castown home. The cops never responded to the tips, and now a cute little countryside home has been burnt to a crisp. Castown PD denies all claims that they've been contacted about the home, claiming that their answering machine has been broken since November of 2019. First of all, do they even have a PD? I thought it was just like incorporated by the sheriff's department.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they might. I don't know. I've never seen them. So that's part of the article there. Go check that one out. And it's kind of true though. Like they are actually on. Like there's a lot of truth based in Bugle Caller's articles because I've driven by places like that where it's like homemade fireworks, golf carts, and guns. I'm like, what? I saw that in Indiana. I saw one that said they were out in the lawn chair and they had a table with a written sign, 2 lawn chairs that said this rusty shack, and they had a sign that said homemade fireworks and CBD.
Ooh.
It's like, what is this? This is crazy. That's the thrill of taking back roads for alleged reasons while driving a semi. You get to see stuff like that. Troy fraternity closes permanently after hazing allegations. Oh, God, this is satire as well, if you're not following along with us here. Bugle Caller, the national offices of Epsilon Lambda Kappa, a.k.a. ELK.
You obviously never went to college.
No, what is that?
Epsilon Lambda. I don't know the lambda part. That's weird, but it's Kappa.
Kappa, yeah.
There you go.
ELK have decided to permanently close the fraternity's Lotta chapter, located in historic downtown Troy. This really makes me excited that I never went to college. I've always wondered about these fraternities. The decision follows hazing allegations which claim that the fraternity forced new members to bathe in the downtown square's fountain, sleep on bed of nails, and give rim jobs to stray dogs, among other accusations. Sometimes it only takes a few to spoil the fun for all. In this case, it's clearly the pledge's fault. If they could have just kept quiet for another 6 weeks, it would have been all over. And they could do the same thing to next year's incoming class. It's tradition, stated chapter president Spencer Washington. Everyone else had to give rim to a stray dog during their pledging. It's what separates the boys from the men here in our organization. Unfortunately for Washington, what separates the boys from the men in their fraternity may be the bars of a jail cell. You can read the rest of it over at Miami County Bugle Caller. Wait a minute. Go back.
Okay.
Go back.
Get back to where?
Go back to the article. Look at it.
I'm on it. What?
Yeah, that just looks like our poll. I thought for a second. They had the same idea to screen cap. I thought they put our poll up there for a second.
It looks a lot like it.
But it has to do with, do you like Troy's new navy and orange color branding? Please share your thoughts below. I don't know. Maybe we accidentally started doing a poll. It's not ours.
Okay.
It's a different percentage and everything. It's damn near close, though. I was like, wait a minute. Did they put our poll on there? That'd have been funny. I'd have laughed. See, I can laugh. We can laugh at ourselves here. Maybe we stole their polling idea. They've actually been getting to the hot button issues a lot better than we do. They do great work at the Bugle Caller. Last one from them here that we'll give a shout out to. 7 celebrities you didn't know were from Miami County. Let's see. We roll down the list here. And I don't know who this guy is right off the bat. Oh, you don't know so-and-so from TV show 55 decades ago? No, can't say I do. I do have a pretty decent knowledge of older TV, but not a lot. 7 celebrity. Rob Schneider. Okay. Do you know Rob Schneider lived in Tip City in the 1980s? He attended Tippecanoe High School for 2 years, eventually leaving due to the constant teasing from his peers. When Rob arrived at school, he quickly became the new guy, trying extremely hard to make others laugh. Everybody hated him and his jokes. It got so bad that he had to move to California for a fresh start. The rest is history. And we'll just let him resize this real quick. There we go. You see a little bit better now. Let's go down. Let's find a couple more here. You can go read the other ones. Victor, he got a shout out. We had Victor Castaldo on a couple weeks back talking about his new recording studio that he's coming up on his 1-year anniversary of being in town. Though you'd think he's from Los Angeles or somewhere sick, local record producer Vic Castaldo actually grew up in Miami County. In fact, he has lived in the county for most of his life and has a studio in downtown Troy. His unique, not even remotely generic interpretation of music production is not easy to find just anywhere. Be sure to stop by his studio for a quick sesh and shout out the Miami County Bugle Caller if you end up spitting bars in the booth. I like that cover.
That is a good one.
I don't know if that's one of his ones, because I think he does stuff with music as well. I think that's pretty funny. Reminds me of the Buddha thing. Even Bud Light got a shout out there. So Vic making some waves. I think it's an honor if you get mentioned on the Bugle Caller personally. That's a big deal. Let's go find one more on there because I think you'll like the other person that you didn't.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know this guy was from Miami County. If you scroll down one further, it's Jeb Bush. Everybody, Jeb Bush spent his early 20s in Covington, going by the name Harry and picking up shifts as a grill cook at Buffalo Jack's to make ends meet. He briefly worked at the Marathon on the corner of 48 and 36, but was arrested for selling alcohol to minors on countless occasions. Once the Bush family name rose to power, government officials made strong efforts to remove all traces of Harry in Covington, renaming him Jeb in the process. If you ask a local about Jeb, they will pretend to have no idea, but only because they're being paid by the feds. We should have clapped. I wonder if he handed out turtles at Buffalo Jack's from his pocket. I do wonder that. There's a couple other people. I think Rob Lowe gets a shout out as well. Props to Vic. He's moving up, man. We put him on this show, and he gets a Bugle Caller sponsor the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. People take it too seriously. They're just having some laughs, satire, pointing out some stuff along the way. I love what they do. It gives me a laugh. It's top tier. I mean, they have got a lot of talent for a local scene. Top tier stuff. That's going to wrap it up for us here tonight on the show. Again, if you want to reach us, beautifultroyshow@gmail.com. We open the call-in line each Monday at 7 p.m. live for you to call in. We're still working on maybe opening up a Discord, possibly trying to modernize it a little bit. That's 937-696-7572. If you need a hub for all of our links, networks, everything that we do here, thetroyshow.net is where you can find those. Once again, if you want to drop in over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show and facebook.com/groups/Troy, Ohio citizens. And we'll see you over there at the 2.0 of that. That's been our thoughts for the night. We'll see what next week's brings for your weekly recap of local news, surrounding area, neighboring counties, and every once in a while, just a sprinkle of national news. Keep things interesting. I re-upped on my popping off popcorn. Oh, before we go, I'm doing it. I need to get a clip of this because I've been saying it for too damn long. This is kind of the after hours of the show here.
Good thing you had that popcorn.
Yeah, I needed to mention the popcorn popping off Cincy Chili Cheese. Not sponsored by them. I just love your popcorn. That's all. It's really good. I love it. I don't know how they make it taste like that meat sauce, but they do. Everyone else gives me crap for it. It tastes terrible. Cincinnati. No, there is a select palate, very distinguished palate. They got a good queso one over there, too. I like the spicier popcorns. Let's see. So this is the census. We're unveiling the census. I've been saying this for weeks now, that I am going to fill out the census live here on the show. They won't stop hassling me about it in my news feed from the city government, so here's the Chinese version. Get rid of that. Whatever that was. I don't even know what language that is.
Let me see.
Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Spanish. If you need those,
nice.
You can go to that website.
Oh,
and
very
take a view
good.
of that. We'll forward that off to Eddie. He can interpret it for us. Let's see. What do we got here? So here's the form itself. I'm unwrapping the form. You can hear it here. And this is the Census Bureau. A few weeks ago, the Census Bureau sent instructions for completing your 2020 census questionnaire online. If you have already completed your 2020 census questionnaire, you do not need to take any further action. You're not already responded. It's important. Yeah, 10-minute buddy bug. I have a pen. Do I have a pen? Yeah, I got a pen here. Let's see here. All right. There's some personal information, obviously, I can't give you here and whatnot. We'll fill a little bit of it out, and then I'll do the rest of it once we get off the air. But I just wanted to show them I'm doing it. Damn it. Stop putting those ads in my news feed, and the city can stop posting about it. I think we've surpassed the mark already. That is the percentage rate of having the highest in the area or something like that. That's what we're going for. I need more space to write here. I can't really move the keyboard. Let's go over here. Let's go over to the news desk. Try and bring the microphone over as much as I can, as the boom arm will allow me to do. All right, so this is the census. Number one, how many people were living or staying in this house, apartment, or mobile home on April 1st of 2020? Well, I will fill that out. I guess they want me to put, okay. Yep. All right. Were there any additional people staying here on April 1st, 2020 that you did not include on question one? I don't know why. That's a trick question.
Specifically just on April 1st? What if you had family over?
Does that count the people? Oh, they're trying to trick me. Oh, okay. Anyway, were there any additional? No. That you did not include? No additional. What? Okay. Is this house? It says on here, relatives such as adult children, cousins, or in-laws. Like, oh, you just forgot about your children? They're not people. They don't live here. All right. In this house, apartment, or mobile home, Is this a house, apartment, or mobile home? Is it a mobile home?
Mobile home.
It's a
obviously.
mobile home?
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
We'll be a little bit truthful here. Let's see. Apartment.
Turns out the downtown view outside is actually just a green screen.
Oh, yeah, you can put
Yeah.
this thing on a trailer hitch.
Mhm.
They moved Kay's Diner once. We'll do it again. We'll just put rented, I guess. I don't know. What else would I put? I don't know what else to put here. Occupied without payment of rent is an option. Just squatters' rights on the census. I think that one's just so they can send a police department out. What is your telephone number? We will only contact you if you need it for official Census Bureau business.
Oh, you better put the Troy Show number on there.
Yeah, give them the call-in line. Get this official business. All right, we'll put that on there. The government has my phone number now, as they do for everything else. Let's see, what's the next page? Person 1, question 5. Please provide information for each person living here. If there is someone living here who pays the rent or owns this residence, start by listing him or her as person 1. If the owner or the person who pays the rent does not live here, start by listing, wow, I mean, you're just doing yourself a disservice if you're not paying the rent. What is person 1's sex? Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple different positions. Well, they want my gender. Okay. Well, I thought this was going to be fun. What is person 1's age and what is person 1's date of birth? For kids less than 1 year old, do not write the age in months. Write 0 as the age.
What?
And we'll get to that later. We'll just read the questions, and I filled some of them out. We'll just read the rest of them.
0 is the age.
They're 0 old. Is person 1 of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin? I don't know. I don't want to pay money on familytree.com or whatever. What is person 1's race? Okay, so I fill out your race on there. What's the next one? Let's go to the next page, I guess. Why are we still doing this on paper? Print name, person 3. Oh, so it's got more people on here that you can fill out. Yada, yada, yada. It's actually not that much on here. They just have multiple persons that you can fill it out for. I think we actually filled out the whole damn thing. Oh, here we go. Person 5. Does this person usually live or stay somewhere else? How is this person related to person 1? What is this person's sex? Person's age again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We walked you through it. And then there's you can get up to 10 people on this thing. So there you have it. We filled out, actually, I think we ended up filling the whole thing out on accident. And then we'll send that off. I promise you, we'll maybe post a video or a photo once I'm unbanned from Facebook and can get back to posting things on the fly of maybe me giving it to the post office or the census dude. I don't even know who that is. So there, we did it. We'll clip it. We'll get it on our Facebook page. We have proof. We got it out and we did it. Please stop harassing me. And remember, this is Troy on air.